Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patrons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon, so a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to Moon Harvest, Amish Earther, Naughty Thumbnails, Mitch Kennedy, Original D-Rose, Rod, The Name's Burley, Twad Wazzle, Jason Hornsby, Christoph Fournier, Flat Earth Travolta, J Mals 24, Unimento, M Iron 26, Endless, Flat Earth Sage, Golden McKinnon, Phoenix Rising 86, Retro Bill, More Books, Canna Bear, Fiber Oat, Bogey, Michael Kahn, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Mel B Styles, Hairy Blade, Mobile Max 777, Rob W, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Maria Nealand, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Henrik 86, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Life is Short, Texas Mike, Tina Baker, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will hand over to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
Come on, man. The water boils. I mean, it's just...
Fair enough, I can see why you picked that video, but it's just too confusing to cover stuff that is covering us, if that makes sense.
Why is it confusing? You did Jaren, who was covering you.
Yeah, because he's a somebody, and it's worth the complications.
This is Jaren's buddy.
I don't care. We covered him yesterday.
I know, he deserves a back-to-back.
Okay. I mean, we may come back to it at a different date, but for now, just to keep things mixed up a bit, we'll cover something different.
What do you got there that I was listening to?
Dave Weiss on Andrew Gold show.
You're going to cover that, or?
I haven't watched it yet, so I mean, I've heard as much of it as you have when I was just queuing it up before it started.
Well, let me get a timestamp on 2 videos, and it has to do with the Kamal, what the ancients used to measure what the sextant does before the sextant became the sextant. They used a piece of wood with string and knots. Each knot represented a port of call, a latitude. How they used it against the horizon. And then I found a beautiful seminar where this guy's going through it, and he says some great things about it. So the two kind of complement each other.
Right, yeah, we'll cover those.
So, all right, so just give me a minute to get the timestamp on the first one.
Hey, Adam.
Afternoon, guys.
You want to listen to a bit of this video while we get us into the mood, as we're going to be covering it on the live show? Can you all hear
What
us
we
okay?
got? More
Dave
Brian.
Weiss, Dave Weiss
See.
with Andrew Gold. I'll give you a taster.
Hang on.
Okay, interesting. What about those videos? You say, show me the curvature of the Earth. What about those videos? You've seen them, not just NASA, and because I can understand why people would not want to believe the corporations and stuff, and nor should they. What about the videos of YouTubers who put balloons up into the air, and the video gets out into space, and you can just see that the Earth is quite clearly curved?
Well, if you've heard of a fisheye lens, you look at those videos, watch the video before they even take off, and it shows the same curvature. Right? When you don't use a fisheye lens, you can see that the Earth is stationary, that the sun is local, creating a local hotspot. If the sun was 93 million miles away, it would evenly light up the whole Earth, right? The sun is right here. Don't ask me what it is. Don't ask me how far it is, because I don't know. I'm not making those claims. The Globers are making claims that it's 93 million miles away, and that's provably impossible.
Okay. What about boats on the horizon? Because you see them, if it was flat, and by the way, I'm aware, you know what, there's something I should say actually with this. Firstly, I'm no expert about this, so this isn't going to be, I mean, as David's been telling me off air, this is going to be very easy for him because he's an expert in this. This is David's life and it's not mine, but I do find it fascinating.
Wrong, Andrew. Quite the contrary. You're about to engage in a burden of proof reversal fallacy by asking Dave the Flat Earther about a claim about boats being obscured by a physical geometric sphere edge known as Earth curve. You're going to ask him about that? No, that's your claim that you need to defend because it's a positive claim for a globe. Your assertion that the horizon's a physical leading edge of a sphere, we've debunked that. Now, Dave, when he was asked about that specific aspect, started talking about fisheye lenses. What about debunking the notion that the horizon's Earth curve, Dave? That would be more appropriate than talking about how Earth curve can bend in a fisheye lens. Now, attack the fact that it's not Earth curve. That's your primary concern here, as it's their primary claim. And he's about to flip that burden onto Dave. So let's see how Dave copes with a burden of proof reversal fallacy.
I'm an atheist in the sense that I don't have a belief in a God, though I respect friends and family members and viewers who do. But I am a believer in the sense that I'm a believer in science, and that requires faith.
Excuse me, Andrew? Science and empirical method that you establish cause and effect through systematic experimentation to give you an empirical outcome requires faith? Oh dear, Andrew Gold, you are so ignorant of what science achieves, and it absolutely does not require faith. Now, that would be religion. Like the faith in the horizon being a leading edge of a sphere to block boats and buildings as you're about to charge the flat earther with explaining? No, there's no faith required if you have empiricism. That's science and the scientific method. That's what it offers. Proof. No faith required. The way it offers proof, Andrew, is as follows. You have two outcomes when you test a hypothesis. Now, a hypothesis is your explanation that's yet to be validated for a phenomena that you've observed in nature and you want to know the cause of. Your prediction, scientific prediction known as a hypothesis, has two outcomes. One, A causes B. B is the phenomena you're studying. A is your presumed cause. The other prediction is A doesn't cause B. Now, when you vary A, you can only validate that it does or does not cause B. Now, when you vary it and it does cause B, you validate something called an alternative hypothesis, your scientific prediction. And if you vary A and it doesn't cause B, then you validate something called a null hypothesis. All part and parcel of a scientific prediction. It's called a zero difference result. You prove your null or you prove your alternative. At any stage in that explanation, Andrew, did it include faith? Did I need faith in my variation of something to see if it caused something else? Absolutely not. What this demonstrates is Andrew Gold, who claims to be a man who adheres to science, doesn't even know what it is. So, Andrew Gold, I, unlike Dave, who undoubtedly won't unpack this as I have just done, because he doesn't understand this stuff, right? I'm going to tear a strip off you for your claims that you adhere to some sort of science when you exclaim that it needs faith. No, that is incorrect. You are ignorant, Andrew. Very, very ignorant. Go ahead, John.
I was going to say, I think what it is Andrew Gold is equivocating between the method and the philosophy that created the method.
So ignorant.
Oh, extremely, extremely, yes.
Yeah, I would agree. The better caveat. Andrew, you are extremely ignorant to declare that science requires faith. No, it stamps out the requirement for faith. That's its purpose. It's an empirical method, absolutely devoid of a requirement of faith, as you just declared to your audience. No, just ignorant, my friend. You need to learn what science is, because it doesn't need faith, as you just declared.
Not necessarily in the same way that religion does, but I have to trust
No trust required either. Empiricism. It's not that I have to trust that A didn't cause B. I vary it and it either causes it or it doesn't. I don't have to trust that it didn't do it if it doesn't do it. It just doesn't do it. Or I don't have to trust if it does cause the effect you're studying when you vary A, your presumed cause of the effect in your scientific prediction. When it causes the effect, I don't have to trust that it's caused it. I can see that it caused it. Do you see how it doesn't require trust, Andrew? Yeah. Don't ever declare that you are a man of science or that you have some understanding of science. You do not. How dare you?
It's for my religion of science. I have to trust the scientists.
But religion of science? No, my friend, it's an empirical method. There is no religion of science. There's a ball religion called heliocentrism. That's not science, though.
And textbooks that tell me things. So it's
Sorry, textbooks that tell you things. That's a reification fallacy. Textbooks don't have lips. Go ahead, John.
He's talking about he's talking about materialism. That's the philosophy that brought you the scientific method. That's not science, though. That's a philosophy.
Is important to question them. So I think it's good, David, that you question it. And while I do believe while science is never wrong, scientists often are wrong. So I respect you, David, for asking questions. And many conspiracy theorists do tend.
Science is, while you believe that science is never wrong, you just declared that it needs faith. If it needs faith, you can easily prove things that people have faith in wrong. It's empirical, but clearly you don't understand that. You just trust science because you don't know what science is. But it's the textbooks telling you things. That's what you think science is. If it's written down in a textbook.
And to be right, you look at Watergate, you look at that guy we're not supposed to mention on YouTube who had an
What's this got to do with science? Watergate.
island doing awful things. So at times, scientists are proved.
Sorry, that was a complete non sequitur. You know what a non sequitur fallacy is, Andrew? It's where what you do is babble off into la la land with absolutely no relation to the topic you're talking about. Sorry, Watergate in a discussion about science. Are you insane? Are you just randomly picking out your conspiratard nonsense that you talk about when detailing the empirical method of science you think needs faith? This man is an utter clown. Andrew Gold, the clown.
To be wrong. Many different viewers will know that and will be thinking of their own specific examples. My issue here is so many people would have to collude for the Earth to not be spherical. So
That's an appeal to consensus fallacy. So, because lots of people would have to collude. No, they wouldn't. Based on what? What, the compartmentalisation of an organisation like NASA? Where absolutely one hand doesn't know what the other is doing. People are given specific tasks that aren't in any way connected to the end result. An engineer will make a piece of equipment for NASA, being told that it'll go onto a spaceship to visit a second law of thermodynamics violation sky vacuum. Doesn't mean that that person's actually gone to space, or has any experience of space, or even knows that the thing is created has gone to space. But he'll tell his family that he's made something that's gone to space. That doesn't mean that everybody's got to be lying. God, is your brain so small that you can't expand it out beyond the concept of everybody at NASA being in on the lie? Wow, what a pea brain.
Well, he's put it into a false dichotomy. It's not truth or lies. It's true or false. People can be false without being a liar.
so many people would have to be lying to us, wouldn't they?
Well, no, absolutely not, because we think that's the case. Why aren't all pilots and scientists in on it? And the answer is, well, they're not. They're just good memorizers and regurgitators of the information they were fed.
So another man who doesn't understand what science does or is. So science is men regurgitating things, according to you, David Weiss. Au contraire, science is a method of establishing cause and effect for physically occurring phenomena in nature. It's nothing to do with what men say. It's nothing to do with consensus. This is the blind talking to the blind about science, isn't it? Two numpties, neither of which know what science is.
Is this always going to be the problem? It's like nobody's learning anything. It's getting very frustrating.
On the contrary, both of these were taught what science was in 5th grade. Both of them. Neither of you have got an excuse for being ignorant. You were both taught what the scientific method was in 5th grade. What happened to you, gentlemen? Did you go off into your conspiratard la-la lands of Watergate and 9/11 and then forget what the scientific method you were taught was? Well, maybe a little revision is in order because it doesn't require faith. And it isn't about what men say, David. Men being led astray doesn't have anything to do with the empirical method of science. Just both idiots. Forgotten your basic education.
We just released a video 3 hours long, 27 pilots talking about how the Earth is flat and stationary, and they're not allowed to talk about it or they lose their careers. Okay, so
that's a contradiction in terms. We've got 27 pilots talking about something that they can't talk about.
There's astronauts that have whistleblown. There's military people that are whistleblowing. There's military guys that talk about the impossibilities of a curved Earth with the.
Are you going to actually defend his appeal to consensus fallacy by telling you about all the people, the consensus that agree with you? So your response to appeal to consensus fallacy is to offer him up some consensus. You need educating what a fallacy is, Dave, so you don't have to address this crap. Because now you're into telling people how, NASA astronauts have whistleblowed? I didn't trust them when they were lying, and you think I'm going to trust them when you claim they're whistleblowing? Oh, right, so they're all on our side now, are they, these NASA astronauts who've claimed to have gone to space, to a place that doesn't exist? Oh, they've said they've been to Narnia, but now they're saying it isn't. Oh, my God. Get some better standards.
All he has to do at this point is say, please point to the astronaut who has whistleblown, and Dave's dead in the water.
Their weapon systems, with the way their planes fly. Everyone says, well, there's 500,000 people that work at NASA. I think it's more like 5,000. I don't know.
Why not turn one of those half statements into an actual piece of evidence with the way planes fly? What about with the way that planes fly? Why not try and at least segue this back onto a flat Earth proof of some description instead of this appeal to consensus response?
Know the number. I'm not there, but they're lying to you about everything. About it's all lies. And the thing is, people like yourself, we're having a.
You asked you if everybody would have to be lying, and your answer, Dave, was no. 30 seconds later, everybody is lying. Make up your bloody mind. Which one is it? Is it no? People don't have to all be lying to you, but also everybody is lying. My God. Talk about a convoluted message.
Rational conversation. You believe the Earth is a globe because you believe somebody else. It's the appeal to authority fallacy, where you have no proof other than a guy in a bow tie who is a failed comedian told you, therefore it has to be true. So let's talk about boats over the horizon. You know how perspective works. The sky is up here, the ground is here, and as it goes into the distance, it comes together. And when it gets to the point where you can't see in between, that's.
Now, why is Dave explaining this? Is this attached to a flat Earth proof? I mean, I was under the misapprehension, perhaps, that this is a globe claim. Therefore, the man with the globe claim, who thinks he knows what science is, that would be Andrew Gold, he needs to be explaining his claim of boats going over the horizon, because it's him that brought it up. So, realistically, pay attention to who says what, and when he, the globe believer, says, what about this boat's over the horizon? You go, you tell me, it's your claim that a physical Earth curve edge gets in the way. Prove it! It's your claim. Well, can't you explain how boats go over there? I don't make that as a claim, should be your response. Rather than talking about perspective. What does that prove? Okay, we have perspective. Yeah, I can summarise that with one hashtag. Hashtag shit shrinks. Moving on to your horizon, you think's Earth curve and blocking boats. You, the globe believer, you make that claim. It's time for you to defend it. No, Dave's going to launch into perspective because he's been duped with a burden of proof reversal fallacy into making this his claim. Why are you explaining this, Dave? Are you at the end going to summarise your explanation with proving the Earth is flat? I highly doubt it.
Your horizontal eye zone or horizon, okay? And you could zoom in and bring things back. Here's an example, okay? So out here, you don't see a boat, right? But as I'm...
And so what? Does that prove that we live on a flat plane? If so, how so? So hashtag shit shrinks. Yep. And?
Well, he brought it into the false dichotomy argument that if the horizon is not eye level, then the Earth is a sphere. He's really close to that with the statement he just made.
I'm zooming in, I'm increasing the angular size, and as I increase it, all of a sudden you'll notice, oh, look, there's a boat right there. It was there the whole time, but you can't see it. Now watch. My finger isn't big enough to hold this boat. If my finger...
Okay. So angular size changes when you zoom in. Yeah, that's true. And this proves a flat Earth or debunks a globe because... Oh, we haven't got the opponent who actually thinks it's a globe and is quite staunch about that to actually make the claim for you to debunk that he's saying it's Earth curve because you haven't actually held him to his claim yet. You're addressing it. Dave Weiss.
There was a wave. It's not enough to hide the boat. But as it goes into distance, these waves take out the boat from the bottom up. It's not disappearing over a ball. It's disappearing outside of your visual limit. And
so not disappearing on a ball because has it even been made as a positive claim yet?
We're describing our interpretation, not proving anything. We're just giving an explanation on a flat Earth of what we're seeing. But at no point have we challenged what he thinks he's seeing. And I'm lost. Well, I'm not lost. Why don't you just pick up the black swan at this point? It gives you the opportunity to describe to them their claim, which this guy's clearly deficient in probably understanding why boats disappear from the bottom up, according to the globe. Reiterate that, and then black swan him. And
Adam, they will never do it, Adam. They will never do that. I'm thinking this is a black swan moment, but he will never do it.
And if the water was calmer, you could see farther. But if there's big waves, it'll take out entire city skylines. Okay?
Yeah. I think the thing is, I've got a picture here. Obviously, some people will be just listening on the audio podcast. You just got to believe us. There are pictures coming up on the screen. But there's a picture here. Look, this is how I've seen boats on the horizon disappear. They, as you say, they disappear from the bottom upwards. You could say that's because of a big wave. But a lot of people have seen...
He did. Are you going to refute his claim?
Those boats disappear because they are going over the horizon in the far distance.
Over the horizon? So you're asserting now that the horizon is Earth curve. If the horizon was Earth curve, then every distance to that horizon could be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, as defined in the Earth curve mathematics. Distance to horizon in the black swan is beyond the geometric limitations of a sphere Earth with a radius of 3959. Therefore, the horizon's not Earth curve, and the Earth is not a sphere. There you go. Done. See what Dave's got.
There's another
Distance.
opportunity.
Hold that
He
picture up.
won't do it.
Bring that picture back. Look at the boat. Those are big waves out there. I don't know if you realize it or not, but those waves could be blocking an entire city behind.
They could be, Dave. Meanwhile, he's just made a claim that the horizon is Earth curve. Boats have gone behind it. He didn't explicitly state that, but I would assume that everybody watching knows that he's claiming this line on screen is the curve of the Earth he called the horizon. Yeah, it's labelled as horizon in the begging the question proof of nothing perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator, where it asserts that the distance to horizon is 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. It isn't. We've debunked it. But you're going to tell him that there could be waves in the way? Yeah, it could be true, could be right, could be wrong. But how does that debunk a globe or prove a flat Earth? It doesn't. So we're going to argue back and forth with his assertion not being taken apart? Meanwhile, Andrew, yeah, he did say it could be waves. And it is, clearly waves. Are you going to refute that or just make your baseless assertion that it's Earth curve without any backing? We'll see how Andrew gets on. Go on, whoever wanted to get a word in there.
I was just going to say, what we have, though, is a false dichotomy building. We have Dave's explanation for this phenomenon opposed against this guy's. But this guy's explanation is built within what people believe is an Earth curve calculator. What it actually is a flat Earth information loss curve calculator, where the Rayleigh criterion is, I'm losing the word, where there's a correlation drawn between the amount of information loss and your altitude. So it's actually two flat Earth proofs fighting each other.
The curve calculator. Yeah. In name only, curve calculator, Earth curve calculator, has actually just hijacked flat Earth elevation angle measurements, or the differential more precisely, between eye level and sea level, to infer that there's a point below surface level that you can call a geometric limitation. We can show that, with the black swan argument, it's beyond the limitations of the geometry. Now, their response to us is, well, there's refraction. Well, then you haven't got geometry anymore. That's the end of your assertion. because you need a geometric limitation to your view called Earth curve. It's a hill getting in the way, physical in nature. Oh, what? It's a refracted hill that's sometimes behind the things that the hill was previously blocking. Yeah, you haven't got any Earth curve geometry anymore. Your entire claim falls to pieces.
Well, I would argue that they never had it because they needed a flat Earth to get that geometry. So,
right.
I don't know if they ever had it.
Yeah, it undermines the black swan, but you're absolutely correct.
Not able, because the ground ramps up to your eye level and the sky comes down to your eye level.
Does it? Have I heard a dip correction, Dave? It rises up to eye level. So in the curve mathematics, when it's got surface level and eye level, you would infer that the horizon is at the eye level. That's incorrect. You just don't understand how the horizon works, Dave. You know, you're not really up to date with this flat Earth debate, are you? You think the horizon rises to eye level? Oh, wow. How Dave just regurgitates the feast of nonsense so easily, in total ignorance of what the horizon actually does, and how it's utilised in practical application to save people's lives. But you think it rises to eye level? Oh, really? Why are they making dip corrections then, Dave? Maybe you could answer that, given that you've just made this audience aware that it does rise to eye level. No, you're just wrong. Just ignorant about how this subject matter actually pads out in debate, David Weiss. Yeah, you're very ignorant of what the horizon does. I'd prefer you just didn't mention it because you don't know what you're talking about.
Those waves are above the ground level.
Are they? How do you know? Where's this picture taken? What time of day? How high was the sea? What was the elevation of the photographer when he took the picture? How do you know that? Baseless assertion fallacy from David Weiss.
For you, if you're standing at the edge of
If, a minute ago, this was. Now it's if.
Water, the water is below your feet. But if there's waves anywhere on that flat water, those waves are above your ground level. And when it comes together, they'll block out entire cities. You can bring it back. So let me.
And that proves a flat Earth because maybe use the fact that the angular relationship would be necessitating a flat Earth to take the angular measurement in the first instance, therefore proving a flat Earth by way the measurements are taken. For both examples. So if you want to claim the differentials in angles, number one, they're not included in the curve calculator. No perspective. Number two, your angle measurement's going to require a flat baseline, proving Earth is flat. Now notice how I can take this entire kit and caboodle garbage shit show of science-ignorant idiots arguing amongst themselves about their two beliefs in flat Earth and globe Earth. We can actually prove, using all of the example, how Earth is measured flat in both examples. Dull end of the sword.
Let me show you. Give me a second to pull up. That's not what I wanted. Well, here's actually this is an old one. I forgot about this. So I'm looking across my across my counter, and I have a bottle cap on it. And when I bring it away, it disappears. Now people say, well, the camera is below the counter, and I can prove to you that it's not. It disappears even on this almost perfectly flat surface because this is how our eyes work.
That's fascinating folly. How our eyes work has nothing to do with proving the nature of our existence. You're refuting his positive claim that the horizon is Earth curve. You don't have to defend this, you don't have to explain it, you don't have to do anything. You've just been duped. Like, continually by the looks of things, because you've got quite a refined response to this dupe. None of it necessary. Unless you're proving a flat Earth with this, all you're doing is responding to his claim that the horizon's Earth curve. That's his primary claim. The boats go over the horizon, that's what he said. Therefore, horizon blocking boats because it's a hill. Debunk that. Because then you debunk his entire religion, like I just did.
Right?
But there are experiments like that with...
Experiments? Don't use that word, Andrew. I don't think you know what it means. You think that faith is required. On the contrary, me detailing a scientific prediction, the actualization thereof, which is an experiment, is something that is so beyond your capabilities it's untrue. So you using this word is an affront to me.
Lasers across vast lakes that people can do.
You think an experiment is firing lasers across lakes? Step one in the scientific method for Andrew Gold, who is ignorant of science in spite of the fact he has been educated in it. Step one, observe natural phenomena. Step two, formulate scientific prediction. That would be your presumption of a cause for that effect you observed. That's an alternative hypothesis. If A, then B. You also simultaneously have the contrapositive called a null. If A, not B. You think that lasers are naturally occurring phenomena, do you, Andrew? Don't talk about science, Andrew. It's an insult to science to hear you spout this garbage about what you think science is. This is not an experiment.
Just like anyone watching this can go to a huge lake and put a laser, you can hold a stick up at the other end of it.
And call it science if you're a complete dickweed who hasn't got the slightest idea what science is. As you did, you labelled this an experiment, didn't you, Andrew? Sad. Your ignorance is sad.
We've done it.
You've done that.
We've done it. So on Frozen Lake, we have a red light, a green light, and a blue light. And we had them a couple miles apart. Like one of them was 3 or 4 miles farther than the other one. And from, I don't know, was it 10 miles away, whatever, we have these all documented where you can see the lights right next to each other. Now, they should be hidden or, below each other, but they're literally right next to each other when you line them all up.
Excuse me? They should be hidden. Call yourself a flat earther? No, they should not. According to his claim that there's a physical geometric sphere edge horizon blocking your view, they should be in the way, according to him. But that's up to him. That's up to Andrew to claim. Not for you to tell the audience that something should be... What? There should be a hill in the way. Should there? Says flat earther David Weiss. No, there should not.
Well, that's interesting that you bring that up, because I just heard a video this morning where a flat earther was saying that depending upon whether the sun is above or below the tangent point, that would prove the earth is flat.
Now we are joined by 10th Man Rising, the Adam Meakin, Neil, Refracted Curvature, Arthur B. Flat, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Good morning. Good morning.
Afternoon, everyone.
Hey, good afternoon.
Yeah, plumb bobs.
Quick question,
I'm here to...
any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Plumb bobs.
Oh, God.
The claim that we would have...
for that.
Go on.
They're pointing that, aren't they?
No. Plumb bobs are all parallel. And the assertion that we have reciprocating zenith angles, all pointing to the centre of a sphere Earth, would defy the Cartesian coordinate systems used to build things and navigate. No. We have a flat plane and parallel plumb bobs. What do you want? No, they're not converging on a centre of a sphere Earth.
Well, whether they're parallel or divergent, converging, whatever, plumb bobs give you your vertical, do they not?
Yes, that's the purpose of the tool.
And how do you get a 90 degrees from a curved surface?
You don't. Any evidence that you can acquire an elevation angle measurement from a curved surface?
Well, they're perpendicular to the surface, aren't they? The plumb bobs, that's what they're stated to be.
Yeah, all plumb bobs would be perpendicular to the surface that is horizontal, given that they are vertical. Yes.
Well, what I mean by that is for them to be able to be perpendicular to the surface has to be straight, flat. It can't be a curved surface for them all to be perpendicular to that surface.
Or to describe a deviation from it. If you're going to say that they're all converging on the centre of a sphere Earth, okay, so you're saying they're deviating from one another. Well, what are you going to use as the first reference to tell me how much they deviate from one another? Oh, of course, you're going to need a flat plane for that. For the claim. Then the measurement. And then an assertion, undoubtedly a lie, because parallel plumbs is what we have. That they are actually converging on the centre of a sphere Earth when you take one plumb and then move 100 miles away where you can't see the first one and go, oh yeah, this one's also pointing straight down. But because I assume the ground between the two is curving, obviously they're now at reciprocating zeniths or pointing to the centre of Earth. No.
Well, you don't get the zenith or the vertical without the horizontal. So what they're actually claiming is the plane in the center of the sphere is diverging to these points.
Gotcha. So there's a plane in the middle of a sphere Earth, hence my first question about molten iron core. Okay. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
plumb bobs pointing to the center of a sphere.
What an outrage. There's only 43 people watching. I mean, yesterday there was 430 people watching at this point in the show. Has no one shared? What an outrage. Okay, today we're going to be covering this.
Don't worry, it's probably just because I'm on the show, guys.
Who's me?
I have that
Morgile.
effect on live streams.
Good to have you, John. Early riser, obviously, today. Okay, so we're going to be covering this today, which is Andrew Gold with Dave Weiss as a guest. Now, I've already been covering a little bit of this in the pre-show, so we'll just continue where we left off, if everybody's good by that. Who's making that noise? Go on. We can hear you in the background if you're not on mute, by the way, Morgile, just so you know. Please be vigilant with the mute button. But go ahead, it sounded like you had something to say. Go ahead. Or don't. Obviously, entirely up to you.
Well, I was going to say, given that the Morgile's here, would it be better for us to talk with him, or because I don't know what kind of conflict that has for him with David Weiss?
Who gives a shit? We're going over a video. If he's here, he's going to listen and respond.
Well, you've now brought up the politics of Morgile. I'm sure if he's got something specific to say, like with any other person who joins, like when we were covering a video and the guy joined in with the discussion yesterday about whatever it was he was covering, it was the same thing. Shocking. Reciprocating zenith angles. Right? Well, we just dropped everything to talk to him. Same would apply to Morgile if he's got something to pipe up about. But I don't want to put him on the spot and say, oh, obviously you've got a prepared script to go through. I doubt it. It's just popping along. Sorry to talk about you in third person, John. Anyway, let's get on with it.
No, it's fine. Honestly, I haven't spoken with David Weiss in years, so I don't have anything against him. But it's not like I'm going to lose any sleep if you guys have issue with stuff with David Weiss. I was actually going to chime in on the last point with the plumb bobs, though, real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's funny. Just the other day, I got in an argument in the comments section where dude was trying to claim that, architects and engineers figure a ball Earth for designing things. And of course, we know that's ridiculous, but they use the argument that I think it's the Golden Gate Bridge is an inch wider at the top than it is at the bottom or whatever. And, of course, somebody's been up there to measure that. It's not just theoretical, I
mean, even if it was, to assert that that is because the Earth is a spherical surface is to affirm the consequent, to say, if the Earth is a sphere, then the Golden Gate Bridge will have a differential at the top of 1 inch. There is a differential of 1 inch, therefore Earth's a spherical surface. Well, no.
Verrazano.
I'm just saying that you have to start with the assumption that Earth is a sphere in order to affirm the consequent with any of these examples. Like yesterday, it's like, well, the buildings would be tipping apart. Has anybody actually measured them? Well, number one, why would I be doing that? Oh, because I want to affirm the consequent that Earth's a sphere? Oh, right. So when I find that one is an inch tilted, it's not called the building regulators. It's Earth's a sphere. Okay, why? Oh, because I've decided this is going to be a globe Earth proof. When I assume Earth's a sphere, it's going to be tilted away. I see. No, that's completely non sequitur. You're just affirming the consequent.
Well, and that's one of the things I love so much about the book Zetetic Astronomy is, love it or hate it, Robotham gave several examples where it's literally codified into law that if you're going to build something like, a bridge or a canal or whatever, you must not, it's illegal for you to assume sphere Earth for your baselines. I mean, it's literally in the law for, I know at least over there, in England or whatever. Or at least maybe in Europe, different places. Canals,
but certainly for trains, yes, I've seen that documented in respect to how they must treat the Earth as a level surface when they're building tracks, for obvious reasons. Why? Well, because if they account for it, they're accounting for it, and they have to measure how much the train can actually go up that incline. Anyway, right, let's do a bit. Go on. Go on,
Just to repeat what a glober has told us is, who's claiming the ground underneath the mountain is curving? Who would claim that?
Yeah, upon having to face the fact that they measure an elevation angle to it off a flat baseline, they would then ask us as globe believers, who's claiming the ground under the mountain curves? You are. It just doesn't. It's not being measured that way. Anyway, let's do a bit of this video.
Right? What I'm showing you here is there's waves out here. You can't even see this boat. When we zoom in, the boat is hidden because it's in
Well,
the
it's just
water.
tiny because it's so far away, and I get.
That's interesting you should say that, Andrew, because saying hashtag shit shrinks, as we do, would not be inclusive of your begging the question proof of nothing perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator. There is no perspective when asserting that the Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3959 and the distance to the horizon is 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, because it's a hill that blocks boats. That calculation does not include the hashtag shit shrinks explanation that Dave is giving you. Dave doesn't need to give you this explanation. It's not his claim for a flat Earth, but he's giving you anyway, and your response is to say hashtag shit shrinks. Not in your maths. For a curved Earth, it don't.
But he was never forced to give his position on that. He was never pushed into that corner to say that the Earth curve calculator is this. His opponent did it.
Yeah. Well, I'm not strawmanning or stereotyping when I tell you and the audience, and in this case in response to Andrew Gold, what his calculations that he infers there's a hill in the way imply. They are set in stone. They are his religion. And I can refer to them without him actually appealing to them specifically, because they're his maths for his claim, whether he likes it or not. But you are right. He hasn't been put into a position by Dave where he's had to explicitly state he thinks there's a hill in the way of the boat called Earth curve. Well, that's got specific maths for it. That's what we're detailing. He doesn't know it. Andrew doesn't know this. If you asked him what the Earth curve maths were, he wouldn't have the slightest idea. He doesn't know what science is, let alone what maths for Earth curve are.
At that, but it's not the same as disappearing from the bottom.
You're showing
which
me
is what we see.
Look, this boat is look, the whole front of the boat's gone. It's hiding behind these waves. Look, it's hiding behind the waves. And as I zoom out,
it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because this is difficult because anyone watching this, you got to go: is it because of the waves, or is it because it's disappearing behind the horizon? So
no, we can take the third option outside of your false dichotomy and debunk your claim that it's a horizon in the form of a hill called Earth curve at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. That's your positive assertion. Now, if I was in front of you, I wouldn't be making a positive claim. If I was about the horizon, it would be about how we utilise it to establish a flat plane, to navigate, stop us dying at sea, for example. Far more grandiose than this garbage. Do any of these two numpties have any idea how this could be put into practical application to help anybody in any circumstance ever beyond programming them into belief that they're on a ball? No, that's its only purpose. So what practical application does this have? Am I making a claim about the horizon in this regard, about how it blocks boats? No, I'm not. You are. Now you better defend it. And when you make your claim that the horizon's a hill, Earth curve in the way, I'll point out that no, we can debunk it. Black swan. If the Earth's a sphere radius 3959 miles radius, then every distance to the geometric limitation hill Earth curve can be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, because that's what your math says it is. And we have imagery that shows it's way beyond the geometric physical limitations of hills getting in the way of things. Therefore, Earth curve is not represented by the horizon, and the Earth is not a sphere radius 3959. We can debunk it.
So I want to hear now your understanding of what flat Earth is, because I'm genuinely intrigued. I want to know, what is flat Earth?
Right. Well, I'm just finishing on this. When you zoom out, the boat literally just blinks out. You can't see it. So,
well, as Dave's not going to do it, I will. What is flat Earth? The Earth is obviously, observably, measurably, and navigably flat. So when you get lost at sea, your last resort to find your way home will be to utilise angular measurements off a flat plane. Your GPS system utilises a flat plane Cartesian grid network system so that you can find your way with your satellite navigation. That's a flat plane. All of the surveying and building on the land is done with respect to horizontal. Flat plane. When you look out into the distance, which is all you're doing, it's the lowest rung of this tier of proof, it's obviously flat because there's nothing curving away from you.
So that ship you're looking at, if it's over the curve, it's farther than the boat that I'm showing you here. And
ads, sorry.
If it's over the curve?
It's literally because of the surface of the water. There's the waves, and then if it's perfectly smooth, you get a mirage, and it just hides behind the mirage. We'll get into that.
What a convoluted gaggle screw of crap. You think a single member of the audience is going to listen to that and go, oh, right, oh, therefore Earth's flat?
Well, he just invoked the cause and effect relationship with miraging. He's getting himself into trouble.
Why? Have we got a claim?
matter.
Am I missing something? With respect to boats being obscured in the claim that the globe Earth makes, do we have a claim in that regard to need to explain how perspective works? Am I missing something?
No, we have a black swan, and it would have been used a long time ago.
That
We're
further.
at a
So
draw
what
here
is
now.
flat Earth, right?
Again, Adam.
We're at a draw here now. The guy, I'm not sure of his name. He's
Andrew Gold.
Andrew's responded to David. As David keeps going about zooming in, we can do that on a ball because that's what's happening. Yeah, and we've got this convoluted bit where you've got opportunity to address the ball claim, and then a very confused and rushed explanation from David, where we're now into suddenly dealing with mirages and stuff, and we've not. But as you said, all you got to do is deal with a bit of perspective. But you don't really need to be dealing with anything on a flat Earth. Just get him to understand the implications of his claim. That's what he should be being held to. Explain the black swan. Explain the limitations in the modus tollens. Yeah, and work him through that. Because at the moment he thinks all you're doing is zooming in, mate. Yeah, and then address. Fundamentally, because he's given the opportunity a number of times, he's used the term horizon and boats from the bottom up. Explain what that claim is to the baller in the heliocentric model and the implications of it. And once you've done that, then show him the black swan and ask him to deal with that. We don't need to have some convoluted gaggle screw about what that means on a flat Earth. It's perspective and stuff in the distance, mate. That's it. Let's deal with your claim, yeah, because you're the one that believes in a ball. So get him or outline for him his claim is what he should be doing, not flip-flopping.
Or if you're going to stay on this vein, at least hold him to task on the fact that he hasn't got perspective to claim when dealing with his geometry of a hill getting in the way. There is no perspective in that claim. But yet they're like, oh, you can just zoom in. Really? Okay. Show me that in your calculations for a Earth curve edge getting in the way, and we'll see how much it gets smaller into the distance in your maths.
I don't think this guy's even aware of an Earth curve calculator by the looks of it. He's not got that. Yeah? This is what I'm saying. To me, this guy's completely fresh. He's got a basic understanding of what he thinks things are, but he needs them explaining and the fundamentals and the implications explaining to him. And that's where you would use the modus tollens to explain it to him. Because this is not out. We don't need to go into flat Earth claim. Let's just look at the ball claim. Look at what you are claiming this image is.
Well, you say
Adam's
that. Hold on, Neil. You say that. Well, that's because there's no flat Earth claims being made so far. There's apologetics in a false dichotomy for a globe claim of Earth curve edge getting in the way of boats. That's all we've got so far. Me, I'd be segueing this straight onto globe proof. Oh, you want to talk about the horizon? Yeah, we use that to establish Earth as flat when we save people's lives at sea when lost. What's this used for? You say boats getting blocked. Give me one practical application. I'd have taken this immediately to a flat Earth proof that used the horizon. Not babbled on about what I think perspective is and talk about refraction. Why? Have we got flat Earth refraction proving a flat Earth, Dave Weiss? Au contraire, it's their claim. Just hold him to task on his claim. That's all you got to do. He's making it. Oh, no, you're doing it for him.
People think, people think that, where is it?
Just think of a stereotyping fallacy, Dave. That's how stereotyping fallacy starts. People think that. I'm people. Let's see if I think this.
Looking for, people think that flat Earth is a disk floating in space, right? Nobody believes that.
Do they? Well, we don't think that, and we're flat earthers. Right? I don't think this guy's thinking it. He's looking at you like, what the hell are you talking about? Just stereotype me into this belief.
we're a disk floating in space, okay? When you Google flat Earth, YouTube will serve you this. This is from the Flat Earth Society. Nobody believes in the Flat Earth Society except globe believers.
To be fair, I have heard this little ramble from Dave, and it's not bad. So I might just let this play out because it's not bad.
I'm going to check on flat Earth. I'm going to Google flat Earth. And then you end up with information from this disinformation site. No flat earther believes we're a disk. No flat earther thinks we're floating in space. No flat earther thinks that water is falling off the edge of the disk, right? So that's not what it is, right? And, then they show you the turn up, right? And that the Earth is rising at 9.8 meters per second. No legitimate flat earther thinks that, right? We're not a flat planet with other round planets. This is all, you're mixing a fake flat Earth model with a fake heliocentric model, which is a...
Yes, that's incorrect.
No credible flat earther thinks the Earth is rising.
So if I named 3, he's just saying that they're not credible. So you've got Rachie, you've got Beyond the Imaginary Curve. Actually, I can't think of a third one off the top of my head. But yeah, there's plenty of people who watch Dell that think that the Earth is rising up now, for whatever reason. Is that it?
Double negative. So what is flat Earth? And the answer is the large bodies of water at rest need containment. Can you agree with that, Andrew?
Say that again.
Large bodies of water at rest need containment. Agreed?
Yes, of course,
okay.
Yeah.
And so a bathtub needs a tub. A lake needs the shoreline of a lake. The world pond, all of the oceans of the world need containment. What holds them in? They're not on a spinning ball in a scientifically impossible space vacuum. They're literally being held in by the shoreline of our gigantic world lake.
Are they?
Why?
So, but as based on what evidence, David Weiss? What are you talking about?
I was pondering there, thinking you're doing an all right waffle job on a really shitty question. I was thinking, how would I answer that? What is flat Earth? It's actually a tricky question. Do you go into an explanation of what you think the flat Earth is, or? I mean, for me, I'd say it's a realization that we're not living on a ball, and a realization that the Earth is obviously observably and now navigatably flat. It's coming to that realization and seeing the lies to you. I would hate to go to try and describe some topography that I can't back up and prove. Now, there's so much stuff I can demonstrate what is flat Earth. Not what the flat Earth is, but what this movement is. And I'd probably stick in that realm. And as we were saying earlier, the noobs, it's about a recognition you're being lied to.
You're being lied to again. This is Dave Weiss lying to you. Dave Weiss has no clue that this is the case.
Let me just finish. Not realizing you're not being lied to, getting rid of that paradigm and what it's not. And this is probably what I'd make to a guy like this. The point, it's not about replacing a paradigm, which is, if I'm being critical of Dave, what he's kind of doing. He's trying to give you a new. This is actually, we're in a big pond now. We're not on a ball. We're in a big pond. Yeah, and that to me is what flat Earth isn't. It's not to give a replacement paradigm based on no standards again and no proof.
Nathan,
that shoreline.
What I'm hearing. All right. What I'm hearing here is there's not one seed of doubt about the globe in Andrew Gold's mind right now. Dave has failed to put any doubt of the globe claims, which is crazy because all he had to do was show the black swan. Now Andrew can start doubting the globe claims. What's happening is David's making claims. No, you destroyed the globe, and they say, oh my gosh, it doesn't work based on what they told me. Now I'm curious. I want to find out. Dave's not taking that approach.
Keep an eye out for Eli.
Yeah.
No, I mean, let me into the G plus, please. Gracias.
You do it without mumbling.
That man's 100% right.
It's like a salesman who talks past the close. This is Dave right here. He's just talking past the close. He never even offered the close, but he's talking past it. Talk.
Hasn't got to the boot of his car yet. He hasn't unpacked the product yet. There's no product on the table to make a close for.
That's what I'm saying. He hasn't even. I'm just saying what it appears to me like it's just the mouth running with all these factoids from his view of what flat Earth is. Mirage, this, that. Instead of putting a seed of doubt as to the big lie we've all been addressed with by heliocentrism and the globe and gravity and the horizon being geometric, physical, that's actually blocking something. If he can put some doubt there first, that listener is going to say, okay, I see what you're saying. I have a problem with it now. Can you help me answer some questions I might have for you now? Dave's already answering questions the guy never asked.
Right. But answering them with
this sales analogy.
I just want to get just one more point. How is this any different to saying, well, you'll present it on Google with a picture of Earth rising up? That's wrong, says Dave Weiss. Okay, fair enough. I agree with that a little bit. Yeah, we don't know. I mean, it might be right, but I don't know, is a more reasonable answer. However, it's part of his presentation to then go into this cartoon of the world and tell you that this is how it is. How is this any different to you saying, here's what Google presents you, it's wrong. Here's what I present you, it's right. Why? What evidence of ice walls and puddles are there? None. You haven't presented any. This is it. Baseless assertion.
So I'm going to take the position of
a new reality, are we?
I'm going to take the position
just 1 second, John.
Sorry, let me mute. I'm sorry.
Adam, then Morgal. Go ahead, Adam.
What about me?
We're not.
Oh, sorry, Eli. I thought you were just muttering your way through, like, colour commentary. Okay,
I'll
Eli,
go after Adam and Morgal.
Well, I'd rather put you last.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Adam.
I was just going back to the sales pitch. We're not. I've said before, we're selling shit. We don't want to be selling anything. We're just pointing out how bad a product he's got. That's the important thing here. And as you've picked up on, I've said, stop trying to present a new version of reality for these people. Second you do that, you are selling something. You're not engaging with the guy. You're selling a new reality. Yeah, don't. You haven't got anything to back it up. Yeah, and you are fundamentally, as I said, you're selling shit to somebody. It's not a pleasant product, flat Earth. Yeah, it leaves you in a mess. You know what I mean? It's not something that you pick up lightly, is it? Or at least move with. And it's not an attractive product. Don't sell the product to me.
That's their agenda.
Remind him how bad a product he's actually got right now, if you're going to keep it in sales.
Okay, hold on, Neil. You can go after Eli. And Morgal, then Eli. Morgal, then Eli.
So am I up?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, you guys. And it's such a pain because every time I go to try to mute or unmute myself, the button disappears. And it's like playing whack-a-mole with the mute button. So forgive me if I'm a little sloppy with it. I apologize. So, when it comes to debating, man, first of all, I'm not going to try to defend David Weiss's debating tactics or prowess or any of that. I mean, it's definitely indefensible, okay? So I'm with you there. But on the other hand, when you're in a live debate, it's easy to say, to think what you might say. It's a whole lot different when you're actually the one doing it. With that being said, I can think of plenty of people who are good representatives for Flat Earth who make good, cogent arguments and are not going to go off into tangents about things that are irrelevant or speculative. There's enough, physical proof and tangible things related to Flat Earth that we can go to. But I'm usually not one to armchair quarterback, but at the same time, just to tell a little story, and stop me if you guys don't want me to tell it. But
go ahead.
So years ago, it was in August of 2015. So I'm like literally months into Flat Earth. I think I did my first video in May of 2015. So this is like May to August, right? So just months. And I had met Dave Weiss through the people who facilitated the Ball Earth Skeptic. with Matrix Decode and can't think of the names, but I'm sure some of you guys remember. And David Weiss had come to me and asked me, did I potentially want to do a debate with this Harvard astrophysicist, Josh Grinley? Because apparently what had happened was Eric Dubay was slated to do this debate, and like a week or so before the thing happened, he backed out and said he wasn't going to do it. And so David Weiss was the one who asked me, like, did I want to potentially do that? And I'm like, sure, absolutely. I was pretty gung-ho. I was still 3 or 4 months into Flat Earth or whatever. And so I agreed to do it. And, on that debate, it was on the radio. So it was on Midnight in the Desert with not George Norrie, but the other guy, Art Bell.
I remember this.
And it was pretty brutal, but I think I held my own fairly well for the time. I mean, I was definitely a noob to Flat Earth, and it wasn't like today where there's a lot more information out today, a lot more proofs, and we've had a little bit more time to sort of refine our thinking and refine our arguments. So, there's a bunch of things that I would have definitely done differently, but I guess what my point is I had a lot of people telling me that they didn't know that Eric Dubay was supposed to do that debate, but then didn't. And there was a lot of people saying that, Eric Dubay should have been the one to do this debate because he would have said this and he would have said that. And, my only response to that is, well, Eric Dubay didn't even show up. He didn't even put his shoes on that day. So I actually did show up. And, I don't think I had a perfect debate, but I still think that I won. If you're going to fairly score the thing, I got several instances where I got the guy to admit, and concede exactly what I wanted him to say. So I think I did well in that regard. And what I did was I put together like a remix of the debate on my channel and went through just this whole copyright dispute with Art Bell's people. And what kind of was fishy to me, so I'll just throw this in here at the end, but Dave was trying to get me to take down my video of the remix of the debate, like really, really trying to get me to take it down. And I'm like, well, whose side are you on, man? I don't know. I've been friendly with Dave, over the years, but we don't speak. And I've heard things about him talking smack about me behind my back, and I don't appreciate when people do that. So I'm not going to do that to him. But I don't think he's exactly the best debater we've got on the flat Earth. That's for damn sure. But
yeah, but
we'll move
John,
on
you
to...
said it yourself. That was
Hold on, Neil. You're after Eli.
It's now 2023.
You're after Eli. Neil, just one sec. You're after Eli. You will get a chance, I promise.
Sorry.
Right, I remember that debate. And where you did exceptionally well is you refused to launch into flat Earth proofs. You specifically kept it on how you were going to debunk orbital mechanics and various other aspects. And you stuck to your guns, and he shouted you down so much. It was his show, so he had control of who was going to be hogging the mic and when the mic was going to be hogged. It was my first experience of rumpusing, because they rumpus the crap out of you, especially Art Bell. But there we go. I remember the remix as well. I didn't know that there was some contentious about that because I listened to it. It was quite difficult to listen to, as you can imagine, because you're responding to you two kind of talking through each other at various different points, but you are still listening and talking to each other as talking through each other because you're both reasonably intellectual in that regard. You can listen and talk, unlike some of the fundies we deal with. So it was productive, even though it was rumpusy. But like I say, you stuck to your guns. I will get to you in a second, Eli, I promise, and Neil. And didn't necessarily launch into proving Earth's flat, but stuck to what you'd found in terms of the incorrect nature of heliocentric orbital motion, unless I'm very much mistaken.
So the way that they wanted me to do it is they asked me to put together 20 questions that we were going to go over during the debate. And we didn't even cover half of them, but we kind of covered several of them. And yeah, so he definitely had mic supremacy. So like he was over the noise gate and I was very much under the noise gate. So if he was talking while I was talking, if he was whispering while I was yelling, he would come over the mic, not me. So there was that. And of course, the moderator, Art Bell, wasn't very neutral at all. Like he was definitely on this guy's side. I mean, he practically gave him fellatio in his introduction.
Right.
And so it was definitely very one-sided, but at the same time, I think I did fairly well under the circumstances.
Absolutely.
Again, there's a lot of things I would have done differently, but it's different when you're the one that's actually in the debate. But
And you're a noob.
you can
You're a
practice
total
that sort
noob.
of thing, and you would.
You're a total noob
Well,
at
and
that point.
you would think that after years of being high profile in this, you might hone some sort of debate skills or whatever. But I mean, it's not for everybody,
Yeah, indeed. Okay, right. Yes, Eli, go ahead.
Yeah, it's super interesting because even in my industry, uh, you begin to realize when you align yourself with the truth that when you're educating people, you're really just telling them how the situation they're in is screwed. Not even telling them, but showing them in different areas of their life. And at that point, it no longer seems like a sale because you're literally helping that person see where they're going wrong and they make the decision to correct course. Now, it's crazy because I've been in this, so 24/7, we gained a new section in the politics server where it's been blazing hot debates. I feel like look, an old vet just back at it again. I've been talking to so many new people with their pseudo philosophy, all that stuff, right? It feels like 2017 all over. It's been so hot. All of the flat earthers are in there. And what I find is the new people consistently want us to sell them a flat earth. And one of the things that I refuse to do since the beginning of this is sell anyone a flat earth, specifically because everyone has to understand we all came from the globe. We all believed in the globe. And the only reason that I'm not on the globe, and I'm going to go ahead and assume that it's the same for everyone else out there on the flat earth side at this point, is specifically because we saw something in the product that wasn't true. Something about the globe that we thought we came across some information and found out that wasn't true. And we went out there and we asked other people, like, am I tripping? I heard this information about what we all believe. And what's the deal on that? And then somebody who you think is your buddy, they're like, oh, that's interesting. You want to talk to this person? Like they'll throw you in a debate or they'll anything like that. And then you talk to that person and that person is really just like, yeah, so tell me what a flat earth is. How do stars work on a flat earth? How does, all of these, you guys already know the deal. But that's a really weird position to be in when the only reason you were there is because you were lied to. And I don't understand what the globers that are like genuinely globers missing about that. Well, so that's all.
Neil, go
I'd
ahead.
like
My
to go
turn.
after Neil.
Hold on, my turn. John the Morgile, you were new and you did well. David Weiss has no excuse. It is 2023. Get with the freaking program. He's had opportunity after opportunity to debunk the globe in front of this pseudoscientist. I don't even think the guy's that. And he has failed. And now you're saying that he doesn't want you to put up a video of you? He's telling you to take it down? Come on. There's something in the waters here.
What?
Oh, I missed something. I missed one thing. One thing. Sorry, Ten. One thing, real quick.
Outrageous.
So it's interesting because there are two things I've realized. When you, first of all, Like, and I'm speaking to all of the, like, I just spoke to an Ivy League woman last night, all morning, actually, morning, not last night. And she kept trying to make me feel like she was agreeable with me. But when it came to saying experiment, what an experiment was, she was like, see, that's where you're incorrect. Let me help you out. Oh, see, no, I understand these things because it's the consensus of academia. Like, no, you're wrong about what a hypothesis is. Let me help you out. No, B, sorry. And I'm like, yo, why does she keep trying to sell? Like, I know what it is. Like, and so when we had a debate in front of people, when she tried to delegitimize what I said was a hypothesis, what did she do? She included her epistemology to prove me wrong, not a viable hypothesis that I would use. So I went with the old go-to. I went with boiling water. Heat causes water to boil. And she said, well, for all you know, it could be angels. You don't know if that's the only cause. And she said, and do we really know what heat is? I smacked my forehead and said, oh my God, what's it? I don't know if she caught it. I don't think she knows who that is. But that was the craziest thing I've ever. And again, when it comes to what was the other thing? Hypotheses and to the black swan. When we're trying to tell people, oh my God, do you know that when you look out into the distance and you see the horizon over a large body of water, do you know that there's an expectation of you, seeing as that we live on a geometric shape? You know how you pick up a basketball and you see that line that you can't see beyond, you can't see the rest of the basketball. Why? Because it's curved away from you, right? So you have a tangent to a tangent point on the globe, marked with an X. That's what they call the horizon. Do you know what to expect when you look out into the distance? And you know what you know what the reply is to me? Oh, well, actually, you wouldn't expect to see the geometric horizon. Where are these people getting this stuff?
That's old.
Perfect segue.
Go ahead,
Perfect
Tenth.
segue.
Thank you, Eli.
All right. That was good, Eli. Let's not confuse sales with everyday people who run their mouth and who are salesmen. Salesman that's worth his or her weight in gold asks questions. Okay? I don't hear David Weiss asking questions. I hear him telling. Selling, but not really selling. For example, Andrew Gold made a statement. David Weiss could have easily said, why do you believe the horizon is the physical Earth curve? Why do you believe that, Andrew? Wait for answer. Oh, okay, so it's geometric then. Yes. Physical. Yes. Could it ever change then? What do you mean? Well, could it be closer or further away if it's physical? Wait for answer. Then offer another question. Be ready to show the black swan. Andrew, if you found out that the so-called proofs for a globe or Earth were false, how would you respond? Wait for answer, Dave. Don't talk. Can I show you why it's false? I have the information. Are you interested? If he says yes, you show him. If he says no, you say, hey, Andrew, thanks for your time. Thank you for being honest with me and not wasting any more of my time in my research. Appreciate you.
Okay. Any more for any more? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Dr. Curvature.
I was going to, when Morgal said we're armchair quarterbacking, he is right. But, and I'm not trying to defend it. You know, what we're trying to do, though, is when he first subject, he wouldn't ask the questions that he would now. And because he's someone else or he has realized the fault in the way he's approaching the topic. And so he changed his argumentation style. That's what we're trying to do by reviewing these videos, is get people to accept that the information that they're putting forward is either fallacious or incorrect. And
So
it's not
so constructive
personal.
criticism.
You are right.
Yes.
We are being armchair quarterbacks because we're not involved in that game by comparison, right? We're on the sidelines screaming at the ref for making bad decisions, but we're not the ref. We're not in the game. We are. You're right. It's armchair quarterback. However, I could just as easily take the other opinion and go, no, we're not, because we are in the game. This is the game. Therefore, this is what we do to justify it. But no, you know, if you want to put it a different way, a third way, what we do is armchair quarterbacking. That's what we do when we're responding to these sorts of videos as a debating show.
Well, and you know, I think that we're never going to progress without constructive criticism. So constructive criticism is extremely important, but the problem is people let their egos get in the way, and instead of trying to learn and better their argument, or you know, just become better at debating in general, their feelings get hurt, and then they basically bury their heads in the sand to everything that you have to say. And that's a shame, because, you know, we flat earth proponents are definitely few and far between. And, you know, ideally, we would all be like a cohesive unit, like, you know, Neil deGrasse Tyson and Michio Kaku are definitely, you know, they're all humming the same tune or whatever. And of course, flat earth, that's probably never going to happen. But you know, ideally, we would at least be able to support each other, whether it's constructive criticism or whatever. And unfortunately, there are a lot of egos in the way, and it's a shame.
Yeah,
and that's
not just ego. There's also just outside of the ego aspects is the personal relationships that you build with people like Dave Weiss in your instance, or me with Jaron, also you with Jaron, obviously. But those sorts of things do also get in the way. And I tried to explain this to the audience a few weeks back by saying, when a Glober comes and they put their argument, and I might have hammed it up a bit and to put a bit of emotion into it for dramatic effect, after the show's ended, I often forget what the show was about. It doesn't affect me in any way. You know, Neil's like, oh, don't lose any sleep over this. Well, that's true. However, when it comes to somebody that is, as you described them, on your own side, that you'd hope you'd have some cohesion with, it is upsetting, and sometimes that gets the better of you as well, not just because of ego. In other words, you're like, no, surely I want you to be on my side because you're on my side. Surely you'd welcome something that's going to benefit you. And it's upsetting when it doesn't, you know. But obviously, ego also comes into it on the flip side of that coin in respect to a recent discussion we won't necessarily get into as an example, but hopefully the brighter of the audience members will know what you're hinting at and what I'm hinting at here, Morgar. Was there someone else before we get back in? Because we're going to get at least one more clip in before the end of the live show. That was a no?
Yeah, I was.
It's me. I wanted to say good morning.
Oh, yeah,
Hey, Chocolate.
Good morning, everybody.
Hello. Go on, John. Feel free.
I was just going to say that, you know, while there is a personal aspect to this, because they have Nathan has been attacked as a scammer, and there is that part of it, but primarily what we're doing is to benefit the people involved. And I think everyone on the panel is doing it for that reason. It's not as much as it is personal. And especially with Nathan, he did take it personal, but he's doing this because he wants to benefit the people involved in it.
Yeah,
They don't want to help.
The overriding objective is to get the information out to more people. That's why I have a show, right? Well, Jaron's got a bigger show and therefore can get it out to more people. Therefore, if I can appeal to him to utilise the best arguments that are available, that's to everybody's benefit as far as I'm concerned. So, yeah, why wouldn't you want to? Now, obviously, there's an element of ego that might get in the way. There's also a lot of other things that aren't related to the subject topic and whether or not we're disseminating it to an audience. So they're just going to get left aside, and I'm just going to move on with more clips from Andrew Gold and David Weiss. What I've not done at this point, which I should have done, and I feel really bad. Sorry, Andrew, that's not normally my shtick, but I'm going to correct that now. So the channel is called something like the Andrew Gold Experience, and it's just called Andrew Gold. So the YouTube channel is Andrew Gold. The affirmative position for Globe in this respect is also Andrew Gold. So it's the name of the channel and the name of the chap speaking. So go over, give him a like, leave a comment, and let him know. At Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. We responded to your video. Other than me being quite vitriolic in respect to his lack of scientific understanding, hopefully we've been reasonably kind. We haven't at all. Anyway, let's move on. Go and let him know. At Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. I'll say this because I say it all the time. It's done in the vain hope that me, as a shoved to the bottom of the list flat earther, might gain some algorithmic love via the people who respond to us, or if Andrew Gold were to do so. In other words, selfish motivations in this respect, me sharing out the love and the link by putting his link to his video so that you go comment and help him in the algorithm, would be for the selfish motivation of hoping that Andrew Gold would do the same in kind and respond by putting my link to his response in his video, so I get some algorithmic love where YouTube offer me none. Anyway, go and let him know. At Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. But we will continue. So yeah, there you go.
Line we call Antarctica. All right?
I knew it. Go on, Arthur.
I'll be concise, but here's a conspiracy theory within Flat Earth. People like Jaren and David Weiss and Globebusters, all these huge channels, are actually for beginners, people who are looking into Flat Earth, and maybe people who haven't still made up their mind, people who are still on the fence. Now they are going to remain on the fence because they do not have any solid arguments that we do here on Flat Earth Debate and Ballbusters. Now, if you try to understand what they are going to gain by giving you the actual proofs of Flat Earth, they are going to continue to show you NASA fakery and ISS footage glitches and all that meaningless stuff, which any real flat earther comes to a conclusion after a year or so maybe of looking into all that stuff. And after that, they know there's no point looking at 24 hours ISS video, right? So here we talk about the actual points. We are the cutting edge, like you say, the sharp edge of the spear. But they have some interest in keeping new flat earthers and people on the fence confused. And from a Christian point of view, we all know who is the author of confusion. So we all know what they're driven by.
No, I agree.
That's
It's a sentiment that's been put across by refractive curvature when he says this will result in a draw. Well, you're saying, well, along the same lines, if this doesn't result in a solid, oh right, that proves it's flat, then they're not going to be interested in revisiting NASA fakery or whatever else that's being on offer. So maybe you're saying from a subconscious level that they're, without realizing it, keeping people on the fence because it'll keep them coming back to their material. I mean, maybe that's an intent that's in the forefront of their mind to achieve, but I don't agree with you in that respect. I just think it's out of ignorance, and maybe spite in some regards from what some of the people on the panel allude to, i.e. they just don't want to use arguments that we use, and they don't like hearing people say catchphrases they've heard on Flat Earth Debate, like, you'll need a flat earth for that. But the irritation with hearing a catchphrase that's attached to a road leading back from a globe claimed to be proof to a flat earth, you'd think that you'd lap that up in spades if you were out on the circuit trying to prove the earth is flat. But instead what we see is this ambiguity between how earth should have a geometric obstruction. There should be stuff in the way of these lights, says Dave Weiss. You're like, this doesn't make sense to me. If you're trying to promote earth being flat, why have your phraseology geared towards the implication of what should be blocking your view? Because if it, as phrased by Dave Weiss, should be blocking your view means, all right, well then, why isn't it? Let's debate about why it isn't. Because it should be.
Well, and aren't there a lot of traps like that? Like, I'll give you an example. So the globe Earth believer starts arguing that their cell phone is communicating with a geostationary communication satellite 20,000 miles away. And when you start arguing against that claim, don't forget that's not claimed by the cell phone companies. It's supposedly ground-based towers. And so when you start arguing about cell phones communicating with satellites 20,000 miles away, wow, you really are a stupid flat earther if you think that your cell phone is communicating with the satellite.
I gotcha.
20,000 miles away in a place that can't exist.
But
Yeah, I'd be
really,
asking
how
them where
many
they.
times have you heard David Weiss talking about celestial navigation, or maybe explaining the black swan argument for that matter? He came, I just posted it on Master B. He came on a big YouTuber who has turned flat earther with 10K subscribers. And I am in touch with that flat earther. And I pointed out to him that you are using the word science and scientifically wrongly, and try to present him the same arguments directly also and in my videos also. So David Weiss featured on his channel, and all that he talks about are his tabletop light experiments to show that even when it goes horizontally, it feels like it is setting. The entire half an hour to 1 hour conversation was all about sunrises and sunsets, and he was answering questions that globers have. Why does the sun not become smaller when it approaches the horizon during sunrise and sunset, right? So
Why are you
the,
asking me? Did I make a claim about it? Would be my response. Oh, you have a claim that there's a physical geometric sphere edge hill getting in the way of the sun to cause the sunset. So therefore, the burden of proof reversal fallacy immediately kicks in with a false dichotomy that we're going to be arguing about because I've got to explain what the sun does. No, I don't. Unless I'm using it to establish a ground position, I use it for navigation purposes, in which case I'm drawing an elevation angle measurement to a flat plane to get the angle and note its time so that I can find out where the hell I am. But that's its use to me. What's that? Why doesn't it reach the horizon? Again, have we got a practical application for this use? If not, who cares?
The question itself is incoherent, by the way. The not actual size of the sun moves from its not actual position. Why does it not change in its not actual size? It's incoherent of a question.
in short, the answer was the sun doesn't seem to get smaller because it is already so far. So it does get small, but we can't perceive it because it is already so far.
Yeah, but that's their positive claim to be making. But the way that the trick works... Go on, Morgal. No, you go ahead.
What I was going to say is, even though your answer is right, it kind of seems like a cop-out from the other end, and you sort of still have to address it because, and again, we're kind of treating globetards with kid gloves in these sort of respects. You kind of have to, I think. But what I would say is sometimes it does. Sometimes the sun does appear to get smaller. Sometimes it doesn't. It's a subjective thing, but there's really no right answer because you're right. Like once you start arguing this, now you're making positive claims that you never made. So it's a catch-22.
There is a way to answer it, to incorporate it into the question if you chose to do so, though. I mean, you could point out that at the point that they say that the sun reaches and breaches a hill, Earth curve, at the horizon, I can measure a baseline utilising that same horizon they say the sun has gone behind and establish that that sun is in fact above a different part of land along a flat baseline. So given that to navigate and save lives, I can establish that what they claim has gone beyond a physical hill curving away from me can be measured to save lives as being above a flat baseline, with the limitation to your view merely being the horizon. But for someone else, it's below their horizon when they look back at us. But it doesn't alter the fact that between us and them, in this case, the sun being directly above somebody on the land, its GP is now above them, that's got a flat baseline between the two positions when you navigate and put this into practical application. And again, if they say, well, I was asking about the boats. Oh, right, so we need to segue away from something that's put into practical application to save lives with a flat baseline and the measurement of the sun to your begging the question of a sphere Earth and its distance to what? Argue that the sun's going behind a hill? Because that's useful. Yeah, my argument saves lives. Your argument is only used to brainwash people into believing there's a hill that we've debunked already with the black swan getting in the way of the sun. I'd also point out at this stage, if it came up, given that I'd already have definitely covered the black swan, that we're back to having a hill get in the way, are we? So if the Earth was a sphere radius 3959, then every distance to the hill blocking the sun could be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet as laid down in your Earth curve maths. We've already dealt with it. distance to horizon in the black swan's way beyond the geometry that would give you a hill to block the sun with. So the horizon's not Earth curve blocking the sun. But what we do with the sun is establish a flat baseline between its GP above other land. Oh, it could be further than a sunset. Doesn't mean that the baseline's not flat. It's not curving away. That's for certain. It's being established as flat to find where you are. That means the sun is above a flat baseline in both instances and definitely hasn't gone beyond a curve when you see it setting, because you can measure it out beyond that sunset to give you your location and position on a flat Earth.
If they're go
on, John.
If they're going to invoke the horizon as being a physical curve, they're going to have to use the mathematics that requires it to exist below surface level and misinterpret that.
I've got to start incorporating that into my spiel, haven't I? It makes me smile every time you drop it in, and I've forgotten to. Indeed, the assertion in the first instance that the horizon is a geometric physical limitation at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, because it's marked with an X, labelled horizon in the begging the question proof of nothing geometric sphere edge horizon earth curve calculator in name only, because it's actually a differential calculation for information loss at the horizon based on Earth's surface level and your eye level. Well, that differential calculation gives you a tangent point horizon below surface level. That's your Earth curve edge. That's why it doesn't exist in physical reality and we can offer a black swan. We haven't got an Earth curve. There isn't any. Right, we're going to get this clip in. We are actually at the hour mark now. I was hoping to have rounded out having played at least a few more seconds.
So Antarctica is the container of water. What's out here? What's out here? What's out here? No one's allowed to go out there. You're allowed to go to this little...
But if no one's allowed to go out there and you're asking what's out there, why are you telling him that's the world we live in? I don't get it. You've moaned about Google telling you about this, I don't know, triangularly shaped spherical pin thing looking at going up in space at 9.8 meters per second because Google say so. Okay, well, because you say so, but now you're asking about all the reasons why it could be wrong and how you couldn't know and couldn't prove this because we can't go out there. Well, don't claim it then.
Little peninsula where there's a base, which is bigger than many countries, okay? But you're not allowed to go out here unguided. You have to, people say, oh, yeah, you can go out there. Look into it. We've looked into it. We've got videos to show you that you actually can't go out there. And now all the people
but
that
loads of
claim
people have. There are entire bases and countries out in Antarctica.
Yeah. So the entire, when you say entire countries and bases, I agree. The entire countries and bases are, jump all over the place here. Give me a second here.
Not proving the shape of the Earth or its nature as a flat plane in either way. So who cares what's on Antarctica or whether or not we can get there or whether or not they've got bases? What does this prove? Nobody's offering an example for why Antarctic bases is going to prove Earth's a sphere or Earth flat. Nobody's offering anything.
Here it is. We have, this is our map, and we have a base here, here. These are bases. Nobody goes from this base.
Our map. Sorry, did you create this? Dave Weiss, the cartographer? Our map. Is it?
Across the bottom of the ball and shows up at this
there's
Nobody
so many good things.
Again.
Sorry. I was just going to say there's a lot of really cogent, interesting things that you can talk about Antarctica. I'm not sure why you would jump to this, and not to armchair quarterback too much, but like Antarctica, the whole Antarctic Treaty was on the back of exploration saying that it was rich in all kinds of very lucrative natural resources, right? So you would expect that the corporations and the governments of the world would be mining the crap out of Antarctica. And instead, what we got was the Antarctic Treaty, right? So Antarctica is very important, I think. And I also believe that far south exploration is going to be key to really fleshing out an accurate model, which I don't think we have at this point for very valid reasons. But I don't know. I don't know, man.
I agree. I mean, it's perfectly legitimate for someone like yourself to sit around talking about Antarctica because it is fascinating. I'm not going to deny that. But when you're trying to convince somebody who's opposing you in a discussion or debate that the Earth is flat, this is the kind of conversation that you have with friends, flat Earth friends, when you spitball about what might be or how the maps came to pass. But not in a debate. It doesn't prove anything.
Well, this is the problem with David Weiss not bringing up the black swan in the first instance by asking a question. And now Andrew Gold is looking at Antarctica as a continent on the bottom of a sphere. And David's saying, no, let me show you these bases. It's like you don't even have him close to flat Earth when you go to Antarctica at this point. But if you can show him the black swan and the geometric limitations, then David Weiss is going to be thinking a little bit different. Now you put a seed of doubt in his mind that we're even on a globe. But he doesn't have that seed of doubt right now. So what is this transition to Antarctica going to do?
I was going to say, I think that the problem is convincing someone of flat Earth is not just involving proving the flatness and stationariness of the Earth, because once someone goes down that road of, hypothesizing that flat Earth might be a thing, they next have to admit that NASA's lying and the government's lying and all of their science class teachers were totally wrong and that they've been wrong about everything. So there's a lot of emotional baggage that goes with admitting flat Earth, even if just for argument's sake, hypothetically. And so in my opinion, that's why, like, if I'm in a debate, I might actually bring up Antarctica because it speaks to the larger point that, if your opponent in this debate is saying things like, well, NASA went to the moon in 1969 and, the government never lies or something like that, then you're not dealing with somebody that is at all versed in this, and you need to really focus your points elsewhere than you normally would if you're dealing with somebody that's that red-pilled, right?
Morgan, there's many ways to debate, and everyone can have their own style. No one's going to decry anything opposite of that. The point of a flat earther, hopefully, is to destroy the globe claims, not to prove flat Earth. Destroy the globe claims by the black swan, by celestial navigation, by all the evidence that they even put into the books when they say, well, it's easier to think that the stars are moving and the Earth is stationary. Why would they put that in there if this is key to navigation? Well, NASA puts out these documents saying all our technologies are built on a non-rotating stationary Earth. Why would they do that if it's actually rotating? Okay, so you kill the globe with the black swan and elevation angles. Once the globe is killed, now they're open. But if you're going to go in to a lifetime of indoctrination from the crib to whatever age they are now, with movies and everything else that keep reinforcing this, you're not going to do well. You're going to do well when they start doubting the globe.
Well, it's interesting you say that because there was a gentleman that come on the day before yesterday, I think, who did not believe the Earth was flat. And by the end of the conversation, he was telling us how flat the Earth was. Do you remember him?
Yeah. He was very cordial. I think I trimmed it out. It's a members-only video. I'll release it this weekend.
Yeah, he came in as specifically opposed to flat Earth, and by the end of it, he's telling us that it can't be a globe. And I never debated him on any of the issues he brought up.
These bases, they might go from this base to this base. Okay, that's about maybe I don't know how far that is, but it's not that much bigger than if Antarctica.
Why does no one go there?
Because this is how the Earth is set up, and it's too far. It's too far, right? No one's allowed to cross over the South Pole, right? Because we can't disturb the ice, can't disturb the penguins. We have to keep the ice pristine, and they're worried about people getting stuck out there. Meanwhile, in Alaska,
my God.
Okay,
The worst argument ever.
Okay, it's crap. Yes.
If you go north and your expedition gets snowed in or something, they'll go, well, you're going to have to wait till the spring. We're not even going to try to rescue them because it's just too harsh out there.
But we have been to the South Pole.
Who has? Who told?
South Pole. So, excuse me? Pole? What do you mean, pole? So you're assuming that there's a pole that goes through a sphere Earth? That's a begging the question fallacy. What do you mean, South Pole?
Do that. Were you there?
Dave won't
You have
address
pictures?
it.
Sorry.
Dave won't address that. He will not address it. He'll talk about penguins.
It's not that he won't address it. He hasn't caught it. Right? We're all sat here waiting for these buzzwords like pole. Pole, you say? Now, it's a begging the question fallacy. Why? Well, because you're assuming... Go on. Go on.
I was going to say not only that, but the idea of a polar coordinate requires the Earth to be flat. So to get the idea that you've been to the pole, you need 90 degrees below a southern celestial point of rotation.
Right.
But this is it. I can't win. I can't win the debate, David, because everything I say, look, here's a picture of a boat disappearing over the horizon. No, those were just big waves. Oh, but
Yeah, but we would have actually won. You would have actually lost in that circumstance because no, if the Earth's a sphere radius 3959, every distance to the horizon can be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer sine feet because that's where your hill in the maths gets in the way as Earth curve. Distance to horizon in the black swan is way beyond the geometric limitations in your globe Earth mathematics that begs the question and ignores perspective. We would say hijacks it because it turns the effects of shrinking in the distance into a physical geometric limitation. But when we show it beyond the hill that's supposed to be getting in the way, it is debunked. You would have lost and understood that the Earth is not represented with a sphere edge hill getting in the way at 1.2 times the square root of the observer sine feet.
we have been to the South Pole. Here's a few people who have been there.
Takeaway there.
Again, Adam.
In terms of the boats disappearing over the horizon, so he's left this part of the debate where the explanation that's been put to him by the flat earther is it's waves. That's what flat earthers think when boats disappear over the horizon. It's waves in the foreground.
Big waves.
Big waves. Yeah. That's what he's left that debate with. He's not left with the black swan and a realization of the implications of reifying the horizon into the leading edge of a ball. He's left thinking flat earthers think it's waves.
I see. So you're saying by contrast, excuse me, where we would assert, based on his claim that there's a horizon blocking the boat, that if the Earth was a sphere, radius 3959, then every distance to the horizon to block the boat could be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. Here's your Earth curve mathematics that makes the claim the Earth is a hill getting in the way. Here's an image that shows the horizon 10 miles beyond where it should be as a hill, physical in nature, blocking these oil rigs. It isn't. Therefore, the horizon's not Earth curve and the Earth is not a sphere. That is the end of this discussion about boats being blocked by hills that we can debunk as being hills. The horizon's not a hill getting in the way of any boats, Andrew. By contrast, oh my God. Oh my God. Thank you for making this uneditable, Neil. Try that again. By contrast, absolutely ruined that, Neil. Thank you so much. By contrast, there's big waves getting in the way. Yes, I can see how you might see that as being an effective combatant to this Earth curve edge reification based on the geometry in the begging the question proof of nothing perspective hijacking Earth curve maths, Dave Weiss. It's not. It's garbage, and you did not win with it because it's crap. There's waves getting in the way. No. We debunked the geometry at its base level by offering proof with demarcation points that show how far the horizon is. And if it's a hill, it doesn't move. Because it's a hill. Yeah, we would debunk the notion that it's a hill getting in the way as opposed to just blaming the waves, which is crap. Let's be honest.
I told you.
Listen, if the Earth was a ball,
pause, please.
Boats could go over.
Yeah,
pause, please.
Interrupting Dave, postulating that if Earth was a ball, this won't be preceded by debunking of it, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, there's a very important point here. I remember Dave Weiss asking you to protect Bitcoin. Now, I don't think that Dave Weiss could think you could protect this Bitcoin with the wave argument. I know they know the black swan argument. I know they know the celestial navigation argument. I know Dave Weiss trusted his Bitcoin in your precious argument, hands and mind, not because of waves or Antarctica, but they refused to use the same argument or give credit. Now, this is what's being shown here. Let the audience know Dave Weiss asked Nathan Oakley to defend his Bitcoin with FED debate points, and they're not waves or Antarctica. I'm done.
Over
Hey,
a
what's
physical
wrong with
horizon.
you, Nathan? Hold on. Hold on.
Is he about to use the black swan? Because if Earth is a ball, I'm just wondering.
I'm thinking the same thing.
Right, if he
Adam. I'm
does, right.
wait, is he about to say it?
if he does, I'll offer my humble apologies to Dave Weiss on air live. We'll see.
I doubt it.
Horizon. But a ball requires a set limit of vision before you
He's going to do it. He's going to do the black swan.
Oh,
hit a physical horizon. The
Okay.
anti-globers will now admit that they don't have a physical horizon. Right? Supposed to have a physical horizon. Can you see my mouth? No, because it's behind a physical obstruction. Zooming in doesn't bring it back.
What the hell? That was not the black swan. What the hell was that?
They refused to do it.
So
He
he
messed it up.
gave up the first if P then Q statement and then transitioned to zooming in while Andrew Weiss looked bored.
Yeah.
What was that?
Dude,
That's
right
the-
there.
That's the part that is like I feel very happy educating the newcomers, and this is what gets Dave is not a newcomer. But anyway, I have to constantly correct the newcomers that the thing about zooming in is because there's a geometric horizon there. So say it, their geometry. That's why. Not because you can just zoom in, because people like Dave, what's his name? Joe Rogan is just going to say, yeah, well, you zoom in and you see the boat, you wait for it to get to the horizon because eventually it disappears. Well, it's not an eventually curved Earth. It's here's the address to the geometric horizon. Our boat's disappearing behind it, curved Earth. That's the part that they're missing.
That's copyrighted.
Right. And
Yeah, I know,
my dude.
exactly.
I'm glad you said it. That's dope.
But why take the half of the argument for modus tollens and say if the Earth's a sphere, then every distance to horizon can have a limit? He didn't give the geometric limitations mathematically, but that's fine. But therefore, if we zoom in, the boats come back. What the hell was that? I mean, I'm dead serious. What? Why? That's the crappiest argument ever.
Well, it's a Frankenstein's transition. He just took one explanation, broke it off, and tried to surgically attach another explanation, even though they don't really match.
No, seem totally
totally
non
That's not
sequitur.
what he's doing.
Go on, Brian.
That's not what
Hello,
he's
by the
doing.
way.
Hey, everyone. Hey, Nathan. That's not what he's doing. What he's doing is he's trying to use the black swan argument without addressing the black swan. So he's making a screw up of it because he's trying to repurpose the argument without mentioning the black swan. He's trying to make the horizon argument without making the black swan argument.
Exactly.
That's what's going on with him.
Kind of what I was
It
thinking,
almost
Brian.
sounds like
One at a time. Neil, you're causing this chaos. Go ahead, Neil.
Brian's correct. That's all I wanted to say. He's right.
We didn't hear him being correct because you were saying he was correct to the top of his conclusion. Go ahead, Adam.
The next time, take a breath. Why are you taking a breath when you're talking?
I'd just like to reiterate that basically is exactly what I explained. Okay?
Why are you breathing when
No,
you
it
talk?
is exactly what I explained. Thanks.
We done?
maybe it's that because I haven't heard. I got here late. I haven't heard most of this debate, but maybe it's because it's all over the place. I mean, 2 seconds ago they were in Antarctica, right? So it just sounds like maybe this was like a very scattered debate. Like to go from the telling the guy that you have to have a physical geometric horizon or some type of physicality that's blocking anything, and then you go to Zoom. It's like, why? But then 2 seconds ago, nobody goes to Antarctica. Like this shit's all over the place from what I'm hearing.
Chocolate, the reason it's a scattered debate, and it appears that way most of the time, is because they never delivered the death blow to the globe.
Well,
According-
hold on, guys.
I was going to say, according to
Globe-
Arthur and Refracted, that's so that they can keep people in the mix with a draw every time. Go ahead, Refracted.
Y'all aren't appreciating the logic of if P, then Q, Z, therefore T. So,
Z here.
so that yeah, that's the non sequitur. You're just not accepting that.
There is a real point in that little bit that I find very strange. Dave knows the black swan, and what I kind of heard there was he was about to espouse it. If the Earth is a ball, and we got onto horizon and kind of went, oh shit, I'm about to use the black swan, I'll go back to my Q statement and turn it into zooming in. And I wonder why the black swan isn't acceptable for them to use. It's been long standing now, it's very powerful, but that was quite obvious moment, yeah. And we all thought he was about to say it because it is the logical thing to use. And I'm not really worried about the what he spits out. I asked the question, why is he not using the black swan? Because it's not because of ignorance of it.
I'll be fair.
Because he doesn't want to be called anti-FEDer, that's why.
No. Okay, well, don't let me say no. But my speculation is because saying that you can zoom back in is true, and it doesn't invoke a numpty glober for saying refraction, which they don't know how to handle. He might not know how to handle or might not like having to deal with the pushback that comes with refraction, so-called. That's a big so-called with quotes. And maybe that's why he fell back from that.
But refraction ends it though, Eli.
To that. That's got refraction's not a retort to that, is it? I'm asking why he's avoiding it. Why is he using some half-breed comical statement that we all laughed at? Why did he retort to that when he knows the black swan? Why is he not using it to destroy this guy?
I don't know. Shout out to Lumpy Gas in a Vacuum. Says, thanks, Nathan. Good show. And we're not ending yet. Also, shout out to Michael Jones, who joined as a member early on. Obviously, we've been into the thick of it. Shout you both out at the same time. Thank you for hitting the super chat.
But we can see too far. So,
stop it.
Oh my God!
there we go.
Serious.
Okay, so we alluded to this earlier, where when David Weiss is describing the three red, green, and blue lasers that he's saying that should be blocked. Well, the assertion that we see too far is to say there should be an obstruction blocking our view, but there isn't. Which raises the question of, well, why? When it should be blocked, are we seeing it? Which again opens the door for them to debate their reasonings for why something that, according to their geometry, should not be there, it should be behind a hill, but is there. We can see it. Right, like zooming back in on the boat. But Dave's phraseology is to assert that we must expect to have globe Earth curve that he's not debunked and is refusing to use the black swan getting in the way. We see too far? No, we do not. So if I look out and see a clock in the distance, I look at it as a flat earther and say, there's a clock in the distance. Now the man standing next to me with the globe belief says, oh, no. That's not a clock. We are seeing too far. There should be a begging the question proof of nothing perspective hijacking Earth curve calculation for a sphere edge blocking your view, and therefore, because there is an Earth curve edge horizon at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, what you're actually seeing is a mirage of a clock, because the clock isn't really there. The real clock is behind a physical geometric limitation at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, and it is brought back into your line of sight by way of bent light at 7/6 of a radius value, called terrestrial refraction, bringing the mirage of the clock back into view. So it's not really a clock at all, because I'm a globe believer, and that's a mirage. I look back at this complete insane moron and say, no, mate, I just see a clock. But I'm not a globe believer and don't have to apologise when I see things. I certainly don't have to say that I'm seeing too far when I just see a clock. There's a clock. Well, what's your explanation for it, flat earther? Oh, what, as opposed to there's a geometric horizon getting in the way, but it isn't in the way, so therefore refraction's making a mirage that we can see. What's my explanation? I don't need one. My explanation for seeing a clock. I've got eyeballs. I see it because it's there. That's the end of my explanation. I don't have to explain anything. You have to apologise for seeing things because there's not a hill getting in the way. Globe believer. Oh, I don't have to explain a damn thing. We certainly do not see too far.
Physical obstruction. Zooming in doesn't bring it back, but we can see too far. So let me can we go back to the let's finish on the flat earth, and then let's just talk about the physical limitation of a globe. So in the heliocentric model, the globe model that you blindly believe in, right? You blindly believe. Say it. I blindly believe in it.
Come on, Dave. We're all rooting for you. Come on, you can do this.
Blindly believe. I hereby pledge allegiance to the ball.
All right. So this is what's going on. We're spinning. Do you know how fast the Earth is spinning at the equator, the globe?
Super fast.
Okay, 1,000 miles an hour. That's faster than the speed of sound. So when you watch the sunset, the sun's not, the sun's not going away just as it appears. We're falling over backwards, right? I'm on the ball, you're the sun, and I'm falling over backwards faster than the speed of sound. Okay? That's what you have to believe. Yeah. We're orbiting the sun at 66,000 miles an hour. We're chasing the sun at over about 500,000 miles per hour. Okay? But none of these motions can be.
I feel like I'm learning so.
What? I thought we were going to get there.
Yeah, I thought we were too. He's got to work on that. Yes, he's immediately gone away from it, but he's got to work on how he phrases this stuff, because he's now just saying, we're on a ball, we're flying through space. No, you've got to give caveats and preface these statements. Otherwise, you are just claiming we are on a ball flying through space, moving backwards, turning at 1,000 miles an hour. You're affirming their faith. While you're saying that, he's nodding. Yeah, we are. Yeah. That's what he's doing.
I thought he was definitely good. I thought we were going to have to eat some humble pie and go,
no.
Me too.
Me too.
Come on, Phil.
No, you tease us, Dave. You tease us.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just we're all.
But science is much more complicated than what we can feel and see, because that's what cavemen and prehistoric people thought. They just went on what they could feel and see, and it's a lot more.
Sorry, what?
Cavemen?
Beyond what we feel and see. Okay. So if I was to ask Andrew what the three constituent parts of a independent variable are, do you think he'd know? That it must be, number one, real. Number two, your independent variable in your scientific prediction, aka a hypothesis. And number three, capable of being physically varied by you, the researcher. Again, it's an outrage. I hope if you get shared this video, Andrew, you take on board my disdain with you when you blabber on about science when you haven't got the slightest idea what you are talking about. It is an affront to every person who is watching this show right now. You're a fraud. Don't talk about science, Andrew.
More complicated than that.
Well,
look, if the Earth...
There was
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say there was an effect detailed of seeing too far. So maybe we could launch into an inquiry of cause and effect for why we see too far now.
We don't see too far.
That's not what Dave said.
Well, as a flat Earth leader, obviously he's right.
If were a basketball that in size, we'd all be 32 nanometers tall. You wouldn't even be able to see us. So that 32 nanometer little midget thing on a basketball would not be able to see. It would look flat, yeah.
So Andrew, this is a pre-programmed thing. I know everything you're going to say, by the way. I could drink a glass of water on an airplane, seasons, you know, sunset. I know it all.
I want to add something.
Yeah, please pause it.
Does that basketball have a radius?
It has a geometric horizon, for God's sakes.
Yes, it does.
All right, but
I realized he was just making apologetics for why it's flat.
Oh, that was another chance to dunk on him with the freaking black swan right there, man.
We're a nanometer on a freaking.
I do this to the Yankees too, man. Like, don't feel no way.
Basketball, but we can watch with our naked eyes and see a boat go over the curve. So which way do you want it? Is it
we can watch with our naked eyes to see if boats go over the physical geometric sphere-edge horizon at 1.2 times the square root of the observer sine feet, Dave? No, we can't. We've debunked it. We debunked it 3 years ago.
gigantic, or is it not? You know,
yeah, but those are huge distances, that horizon. But it's very rare in real life that you get to see such a far distance because of hills.
Really? We could give you an example. It's called the Black Swan.
You've got him now. You've got him now, haven't you? He's now presented you with the opportunity to provide the evidence in the Black Swan peace statement. Yeah, he's asking for it.
He's literally laid it out. He's literally laid it out for him on a platter. He's just got to pick it up.
And because of buildings and
Andrew,
things.
There's the Bolivian salt flats. It's 300 miles. It's perfectly flat. Okay? Perfectly flat, no curvature. And
smiling because he knows he's not addressing his question about the horizon specifically. Yeah? Straight to the Bolivian salt flats and how flat they are is a non sequitur to his question. That's why he's grinning.
300 miles, the curvature is miles and miles, but it's just flat. What was I going to say? Now I've lost my train of thought. But here,
right.
Just to give you an idea on the speed, right? We're orbiting. This is the hypersonic sled track. It's going by a Mach 8.6. It's shocking how fast.
Nathan, do you see what's happening? He's just running his mouth. He's not staying on one subject to kill it and get a response from Andrew Gold. It's just tell. Eventually, they'll believe me, rather than ask a question and kill it with facts and evidence. This is so embarrassing.
Well, that's kind of what I said before, right? Like 5 minutes ago, we were in Antarctica, and we went to the horizon, and then now we're at the salt flats. I mean, we're all over the place right now.
Don't you feel like you're on a Street Fighter map?
Seriously, bro.
No.
Like
Brazil.
No. Nope, he's on his talking points. He's on his script. So whenever he feels challenged or compromised, no matter the topic, he'll go back to a script. Follow?
Your brain can't
just been asked, basically, for the geometric constraints, the P statement. He's just been specifically asked by the guy that's inquiring. Yeah. And what we now? We're going back to some high-speed train and orbital mechanics.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, QE. He went right back to his script. And you know what happens? People go back to their script when they feel inferior in the topic that they're discussing.
That's what I just said.
That's what ballers do.
But it's a bad script.
Yes, you did just say that. Hold on, Neil. Yes, you did just say that, QE. That was pretty much your sentiment. But Brian did say that specifically about Dave Weiss about 2 weeks ago. So there's that.
Fathom twice the speed, right? You have to believe that this giant water ball surrounded by air in a space vacuum is going 10 times faster than this in a curved trajectory, speeding up and slowing down around the sun and chasing the sun at 100 times that speed, never to return to where it was before. But then when you go out in nature and use your God-given common sense or your atheistic given God common sense.
Okay. So for whatever reason, when talking about the horizon and its geometric limitations, by question from Andrew Gold, we're now onto the orbital mechanics, rotational speeds and velocities. Okay. Now, fair enough. You've non sequitured your way onto your script and spinning motions from that question. Not really reasonable, but we've just covered that. How are you going to debunk it? So let's see if part of Dave's spiel in this regard to orbital mechanics actually debunks the 4 assumptions that he needs to get to those speeds he's just declared on their behalf as a flat earther. Let's see if he actually debunks orbital mechanics now.
Okay, using your common sense, you see stuff like this.
It would be pretty silly
what does this tell you?
For him to just say we're orbiting and spinning at this speed and then leave it at that, right?
Well, we'll see. He might now undo what he's put on the table in response to a question about the horizon. We'll see. He may undo them. He may not. I don't know what he's going to do next, to be honest.
Your common sense tells you that this is not moving. Okay, stamp your foot at the edge of that water. It's going to send ripples right across it. You know,
that's why it's so remarkable, David, because your common sense does tell you that. And it's so remarkable because actually we're moving so fast. That's the beauty of it. But when you're on a train going super, super fast, you don't feel that.
Is that it? So he's won. He's won that point. Yes, David, that's right. It is so remarkable that we're going incredibly fast and we don't even notice. Wow. That's the beauty of it. It's the beauty of it.
The beauty of it is I've been on many trains and I do know I'm going that fast.
Right. I see. So the speeds that we're travelling are based entirely on Kepler's third law of interplanetary motion. However, that will only give you scale. It won't give you distance to extrapolate out the speeds that you're travelling and the velocities that you're travelling in this argument. Therefore, you need a further assumption to give you distances from the scale. Well, if you're looking at something in the distance and you're trying to figure out how big it is, then you need to either have the distance itself or have the size of it in the first instance. And we don't have either. So we need to, let's quote what Huygens was described as doing, make an ingenious assumption. Let's just, as Huygens did, assume that Venus has the same radial value derived from the geometric horizon that we would have debunked at this stage with the black swan. The R value that derivation gives you, we can just superimpose that Earth radius we've assumed by a geometric calculation we can't measure onto Venus. And then we've got the size of one of the lights in the sky for Kepler's third law of interplanetary motion and all the scale. Now we do have distance to give us the velocity and the speed that we're travelling around in our heliocentric assumptions. Now, based on the fact that I can detail the assumptions and impossibilities of measurements for geometric horizons to derive R values for Earth, to transpose onto Venus, to imply that Kepler's bullshit about orbital motion is true with a scale given to you by an assumption by Huygens by way of Venus and its R and Earth's R that you can't measure. I would say that pretty concisely debunks this total garbage. Now let's contrast that to Dave's response. I think you'd notice that. I see. So which would you as an audience prefer was disseminated to Andrew Gold? The assumptions required to take Huygens' assumption of Venus into a scale that was given to him by Kepler, based on a scale for Earth as a sphere by way of assumption on a geometric measurement taken by Al-Biruni to a geometric horizon that we've debunked? Do you think that would conclusively debunk this orbital motion and the speeds and values that we may or may not feel according to Dave? Because I'm going to say I've done a better job than he has. Just saying. Wouldn't want to be an armchair quarterback, but I absolutely would do a better job in this game than Dave did.
Unless you look out the window, you need something to compare it with.
I forgot to throw the train in there with the airplane.
What, like having a size of Venus, for example, Mr. Smug, I've just won this point. Yeah, you will win with a Dumbo like Dave who doesn't know any of these arguments, but I'd wipe that smile straight off your face, Andrew. By saying what? You'd need to scale it with something else, like the size of Venus? Well, then you'd need an ingenious assumption, wouldn't you? By Christian Huygens. You see, my problem with that assumption of the speeds that we're not noticing, Andrew, is that they're all based on this assumption. Now, if you've got something better than that to prove that it's that speed, then I'll accept it. But if you haven't, I think we can all accept that this assumption, based on an assumption, based on an assumption, based on an assumption, isn't going to give us a speed that we're not going to notice. We're just not noticing one because we haven't got one. But you'd need to prove that we have with something better than 4 assumptions. You understand what I'm saying? Oh, you can keep smiling with Dave, though, because Dave didn't do a very good job. He just said you wouldn't notice. And you said it's shocking that we don't notice how fast we're going. Right, Andrew? Numpty.
Well, you know, he could have also taken it a third direction and said, well, given all of your assumptions require a plane of reference, how do you get a plane of reference on the surface of a sphere?
Perfect. I wish I'd do this. I've got to start incorporating that. I'm just not as smart as you. I've got to see that massive highway leading to flat Earth at the start of my rants and spiels, because I'm weaving my way, trying to carefully pick my words on the back roads to the end goal. And then just after I arrive, I'm like, whew, got to the end. I see you in your Lamborghini flying over that bloody highway that I've missed the entire time because I've not glanced upwards. Yes, there's a highway here leading to a flat Earth.
Screaming, you need a flat Earth for that.
Bloody Lamborghini. Why am I in my stupid Yugo flying my way through these back roads? Yes, John, do you want to reiterate that point so we all understand how that highway leads to a flat Earth rather than my negotiation through the back roads?
Right. The assumption that Huygens made of orbital mechanics requires a plane of reference, and the radius value of the calculated radius value of Earth requires a differential between two flat planes. So you have two requirements for Earth to be flat within your assumptions.
It's not 4 assumptions, it's 5 assumptions. I'm sure Brian says 5.
Well, that's why it's when we're talking about the speed of light. But with this, there's what Andrew Gold is talking about is an angular size. So they pre-assumed that Venus was around the same size as the globe Earth. They had not a measured geometry, but a pre-assumed calculation geometry of a radius of 3,959 miles. So they used angular sizes to determine how far away Venus would be if all those pre-assumptions were correct, and then how far away the sun would be from Venus in accordance to its angular size, blah, blah, blah.
Okay,
So
blah, blah, blah. Stop. No, that's the main point.
perspective.
In case you didn't pick up on it from the audience's perspective, what Brian's just completely demeaned with blah, 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 is the angular size measurement in the first instance. That's what John's alluding to. That's the highway that cuts straight through all that bullshit I had to wade through. Yes, you do need to know all that bullshit so you can address it should it come up from the opponent. But the quick route, the chop them off at the knees, is this all starts to even derive Kepler by way of angular measurement to these lights in the sky. And to do that, you need a flat plane. So this all starts with a flat plane. And then we start making our assumptions about the angular derivations when superimposed onto a derivation of eye level to surface level to give you the differential, to give you a horizon below surface level, to then move forth with the radial value derived from that geometric tangent point horizon, to give you a radial value for Earth, to transpose onto Venus, to use for Kepler's third law of interplanetary motion, to derive both, as Brian's dropped it in, the speed of light and the motion of all the orbital mechanics. Whew. But the highway is, you'll need a flat Earth for that, because you're going to be taking angular measurements in the first instance for all of these off a plane of reference. Correct, John?
Well, it's worse than that. They're using perspective. Yeah, it is. They're using perspective. Where is perspective in the Earth curve calculator?
That's the same thing.
For?
That's the same thing. That's angular relationships.
Yeah, but they don't have perspective. Like, they want to use perspective for the celestial bodies, but they want to ignore it when it comes to both going over their
I gotcha.
horizon.
Yeah, we did cover this earlier as well, right? When, ironically, Andrew Gold's talking about perspective, #shit shrinks, and then talking about globe Earth maths of geometric horizons blocking boats. You're like, not in your maths. And you're saying, well, when we're talking about the angular relationships that they'll base their 5 assumptions on to get to the speeds and velocities being described in the orbital mechanics that Dave simply says you won't notice. Yeah, exactly. Brian. Lots of kudos to all the panel today. We're on fire. Hence I've kept going in the live show. This is a really good response video. I hadn't watched this, actually, and I was planning to do it for a long time. I just haven't got around to it. But I'm glad we're doing it today, because by coincidence, 10th had provided a video from the guy we covered yesterday, Brian Leake, but he was responding to us, responding to me having a debate with Jaron. Too convoluted for us to respond to, so I said no.
When you're going straight and level, okay, straight and perfectly straight and at a constant speed, you kind of don't feel it, but that's not true. Walk towards the front of a train while it's going at a constant speed and walk towards the back of the train, and you feel a major difference, okay? But the train and the airplane are going straight. None of the motions of the Earth are straight. They curve, right? The outside of if you're on the...
Again, you've got to be careful with how you're saying these things. You're now telling the audience that none of the motions of Earth are straight. Okay. So when he next does the exact same thing that he did 3 minutes earlier, which is nod along and go, yeah, it's really amazing and beautiful and shocking that we don't notice what you've just described to be true. Well, he's just going to do it again, isn't he? Based on how you're describing this with a train example, he's going to go, yeah, amazing, isn't it? How fast we're moving through space.
Equator, you're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour.
It's great that he's got him in the train at all.
Yeah, it seems like David Weiss is having a lot of trouble prefacing what he's talking about properly. So he's just rolling it in without proper prefacing. And yeah, that's very convenient for the ballers.
Very. But also, he's making the globe Earth claims for him. If this guy wants to claim we're spinning, let him make the claim.
You can't, because he's on a script, as QE said. My goodness, how many times do we have to listen to this guy to know that's what he does?
Or yes, it's only once per day, and a clock hand goes half that speed, but that clock hand is going 12 inches in 24 hours, when in fact, if you're on the outside of the ball, you're going 1,000 miles an hour, and you're going off of your trajectory by over.
He's conflating the angular rate of turn with the actual velocity that you would travel on, the tangential rate, right? He's convoluting these two things.
Over a mile a minute.
Again,
I'm making the distinction there.
He didn't even give the correct answer with his juxtaposition. He said, yeah, it was so much on a clock, but he didn't give the distance that the Earth was going in 24 hours. He went off on another subject again. It's lunacy.
Yeah, he just accepted the whole train thing. It's like I was
Brian, I think Morgal in his subtle way was trying to get a word in just before you were.
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay.
So it's funny because I just turned on my laptop so I can actually see the video, and I knew the name Andrew Gold sounded familiar. I think that's the name. Well, it's funny because I had never even heard of this guy, Andrew Gold, until maybe like less than a week ago. And since I've watched probably 5 or 6 of his recent videos covering the whole Danny Masterson thing, I don't know how up on that you guys are, but so if you don't mind my asking, when was this? And this was actually billed as a debate?
Yeah, so Andrew Gold has been around for about 18 months on YouTube. He's an ex-BBC correspondent who left the BBC under circumstances I'm unfamiliar with, but I watched his rise to YouTube fame, as it could be. He's probably got 100, 200, maybe 1,000 subscribers now. I don't know, I have to have a scroll up in a minute. But yeah, I subscribed to him when he had less than 100, I think. Like, he had no subscribers when I first saw him. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. He's covering Scientology. So you say, am I familiar with the Danny Masterson thing? Yes, I am. Because I've got a vague interest in Scientology, because I see it as the prepackaged way of tucking away heliocentrism when it fails. So that's a different subject, though. But yes, Andrew Gold does cover a lot of Scientology stuff and a lot of conspiracy stuff, like mainstream, just off the beaten track of mainstream in terms of conspiratard coverage. But yeah, he's nowhere near as bad as others. But he's, like I say, his debate bill with this is off the back of originally 2 years ago now. Sean Atwood, who's the guy from Banged Up Abroad, who has now got a YouTube channel talking about his incarceration in the States for dealing ecstasy on a massive, massive, massive scale. He and Professor Dave went up against Dave Weiss. So I think the show host may have been Sean as opposed to Andrew at the time. But Andrew, I think, was there as one of the 4 panel members, if memory serves me, from a couple of years ago. And as he said in the introduction to this, he just wanted to continue the discussion with flat earther David Weiss off the back of that first discussion, because there was so much rumpusing from Dave, although he didn't actually say that. So there you go, you're all up to date. Right, as we come, go on.
Gotcha. Thank you. And I don't know, I was just going to comment on, I'm not sure why Dave would be volunteering himself to do high-profile debates. I mean, no offense to Dave or anything, but I mean, clearly he's not exactly the sharpest debater on flat Earth, and I'm just wondering why he wouldn't, and I'm not like saying like he should have reached out to me. I just don't understand why he didn't reach out to anybody, to somebody that might have been able to represent flat Earth better, because there are a lot. And yeah, I don't know, man. It's just weird that the high profile sort of debates and these sort of things go to some of the absolute worst people to do it. But that's just my personal opinion.
Hey, listen
when
to Dave.
when that happens, he talks about his boat. So
Yeah, he's probably just doing it so to sell more apps.
Well, I mean, come on, guys. Like, to be fair, like,
right?
The thing is, are any of us trying to talk to these guys? Absolutely not. You get what you get.
Nathan, go back 10 seconds. Listen to Dave's argument.
I don't know where I got to. I just scrubbed forwards, actually, and I'm probably in the wrong place now.
You get what I'm saying?
Not
Like,
fair. Well, you can barely tell it's moving if you could even tell. Expand it out to 24 miles in circumference. It's going a mile an hour. Hey, that's like a slow walk, right? Now span it out to 2,400 miles. It's going 100 miles an hour, and it's curving. You're holding on to this thing for dear life. Now spread it out to the size of the Earth. It's going 1,000 miles an hour. It's curving off your trajectory faster than a free fall skydiver. I'm sorry if you can't see that.
I know. But we can see that, and we can see that you're right if we think of it in a very basic way, that our forefathers all thought of it that way. But there are several reasons why we don't feel the Earth spinning. One is the constant speed. So on that train you're talking about, it's never going to be exactly constant.
Really? The constant centripetal speed?
It
really?
just means as much as hold on. As much as we're critiquing Dave, let's give him credit where it's due, right? Andrew, you've just ignored what Dave Weiss has just explained to you about the edge velocity not being straight. In other words, you're in a constant accelerative motion because of your turning. Now, that's essentially, although not as concise as what Dave Weiss has just explained to you. So if you to say, no, it's going straight, means you weren't listening to him. Go ahead, I had QE first, and then Chocolate, I think.
No, I was going to say more or less the same thing. He doesn't understand acceleration. You covered it.
Anybody else?
Yeah, when it's not acceleration in a straight line, you're going to start to feel centripetal forces, which even if the rotatory movement is constant, you'll still have that constant force pushing on you.
Well,
because you're moving in a circular motion. That's just a fact.
Yes, indeed. Well, now we get to find out if this is actually scripted or if Dave Weiss actually knows his own arguments, because he's essentially just told Andrew Gold what we have just reiterated, because it's Dave that brought it up, and the response was to essentially not even a hand wave. He just didn't comprehend what Dave had said to him, right?
Because he's on a script as well. Yeah,
maybe that's what I'm saying. So maybe we'll now find out if Dave Weiss goes, no, I just literally told you 25 seconds ago. That's not the case. Or if his script just means no, next line of the script. So we'll just move on with that being the case. Let's just see what happens.
Yeah, the Earth spins at a consistent speed, just like when you're in a car going at steady speed, but you feel it when you start to brake. You suddenly start moving back and forward. There's the relative motion, we and everything around us moving with the Earth. It's like being inside a moving train, you say, walking down the aisles. To someone inside the train, it feels like you're just walking straight. But someone outside, you're moving at the speed.
What, 2015 arguments?
I can't do this. This is total lot of rubbish. A train is a completely false analogy. You're enclosed in an enclosed system, and you do feel it, right? Even within that system.
Stop. Please stop. You said you didn't want to do it.
Brian.
Stop.
I'm not finished.
Hello.
I'm not finished.
You missed the point, Brian.
I haven't missed the point. I'm about to talk about the point. The point is that you are not moving at a constant rate if you're on a rotating sphere, because everywhere you go is going to be different from where you started, because you're dealing with a different latitude, you're dealing with a different rim velocity.
No.
Right?
No, that's not the point. Okay, Adam, then me. Adam, go ahead.
Your orbital acceleration rate is constantly changing also.
Hey, we got that. But that wasn't what I was going to say.
No, you didn't.
Okay, please, Brian. Go ahead, Adam.
Easy there.
Arwin, you're adding to the audio chaos. Adam, third time's a charm.
The point is, will Dave recognise that he's been strawmanned by Andrew?
Yes.
So Andrew's come back by saying the train that's going at constant speed, and he's likened it to the Earth rotating at constant speed, not recognising that rotation is an acceleration. However, there is no acceleration on a constant speed train. You don't need to go argue anything else. You need to school it on what acceleration is. It can be an increase or decrease in speed. It can also be a change of direction at a constant speed. You can school him properly there.
That's correct, but he doesn't need to be in this position in the first instance. All of what has just been said is correct, notwithstanding all of the above. He doesn't need to be in this position, does he?
Well, let's see what he does.
Well, yeah, but you've just handed you the opportunity to give him a lesson. So give it him.
For me, what should be happening here is Dave should be holding the claimant. In this instance, there's a claimant and there's a claim. It's not him. It's not Dave Weiss. So therefore, the burden needs to be shifted onto the positive claimant of what he suggests proves Earth spinning. Now, if by analogy, Andrew Gold suggests that the effects of moving in a straight line on a train and not feeling it is why we don't feel Earth's acceleration, oh, well, that's not really a win. Now give me what actually proves we are spinning. And if he doesn't know, you then school him in the actual globe claim. That would be to say there's two reference frames and a Coriolis deflection claimed. You all heard of the Coriolis effect? Most of you Muppets think it's only attributable to a spinning ball Earth. It isn't, but that's what you Muppets on the globe side think. Therefore, you're damn sure you know it's a claim that the globe makes. So when you say you're familiar with Coriolis effect there, Andrew, oh, you are? You definitely know this is supposed to happen on a globe then, don't you? Well, that would be Earth turning underneath as a separate reference frame. Stuff would drift away from us at 15 degrees an hour. We don't see that happening. End of argument. That's where it should go. But because Dave's postulating this crap for the globe, on their behalf, with all their positive claims, put to the audience, concisely as they get, for the globe, he's now going to defend whether or not we've got relative motion in an accelerative frame, because it's moving in a ball-like manner on the edge of it, versus a straight train. Why are you arguing this, Dave? It's his claim. How many times?
That's what I found was kind of the problem, right? He gave the Glober all these globe arguments, and all the Glober had to say at the end was, "Yeah, you're right. You just got to think about it in a different way."
But he already explained. Like my thing is, here's another slam dunk that Dave began with, and then he's like fucking 6'8" and just completely missed the dunk.
That's right.
Oh, excuse my language. So it like y'all said, okay? A rotational body has an angular acceleration. Obviously, the train situation is a non sequitur. Dave Weiss already mentioned the rotation. So he should be going, no, you didn't hear what I've said.
Well, let's see.
Or didn't understand.
Well, let's see what happens.
The guys,
hold on a second.
The guy said, "I don't feel the force." Yeah, because it's a constant speed. Yeah, that's his reason. He's actually prefaced that to Dave. Yeah, in his straw man, and therefore showed his lack of understanding, as we've outlined. Yeah, that's what needs jumping on. You've got an opportunity there. Yeah. In this, to actually show the guy that his validation for why you don't feel the force, because you don't think there is one, because it's constant, is wrong in physics.
So Andrew Gold, through the responses of the audience, saying, "Hey, Nathan Oakley 1980 just reviewed your video with David Weiss, and you should listen to it, and you should have him on your show. And this is how we do it."
Speed, I know you're saying you still feel it. That's because of the slight movements and things, and the size as well on the train. I'm nearly as tall as the train when I'm on the train. The Earth is enormous. It completes one rotation approximately every 24 hours, points on its surface near the equator and moving, as you say, at 1,000 miles an hour due to its vast size. But this means changes in speed of direction across its surface are gradual and not abrupt, making it feel quite smooth. And then you're not even thinking about the atmosphere that contains us.
Holy shit.
Sorry, atmosphere that contains us, did you say, Andrew? Do you not know what atmo, that's air, sphere, that's a shape, means? Because atmo, air, sphere, is an oxymoron. Air doesn't take the shape of a sphere, and it certainly doesn't contain things. You think atmosphere is a container? No, Andrew. Atmosphere certainly doesn't contain things, but it would require containment because without the container, there could be no pressure. Your atmosphere, sphere-shaped air oxymoron, would vacate into your delusions of a sky vacuum if space was real. It isn't. But just to clarify your last statement, no, atmosphere isn't containing anything. It certainly does not contain us.
You know, winds and things like that, and then gravity.
Well, the train is, black, but, the Earth is sort of has a bluish tint. That's his friggin' argument.
Just keeping us down. There are so many other forms.
The point that he denied in terms of rotation is now just, because it's rotating at the same speed, he's now just mitigated for. At the same saying that the rate of change of this rotation that you wouldn't feel would be so slight because of the size of the Earth. Therefore, you'd gradually transition into this changing thing that doesn't exist. Andrew doesn't know what he's talking about. Yeah. And Dave could still have him on this point. Yeah. Listen to what he's just said.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's what we're waiting for. We're waiting to see if Dave, although he's on the back foot because he's brought it up, will actually say to him, yeah, I already covered this when I told you you'd be hanging on for dear life because you're turning, therefore in a constant accelerative motion. He hasn't addressed it yet because he hasn't actually comprehended his own bloody argument by the looks of things. But we'll see, he might do it.
Forces involved. I know what you're saying.
One item at a time, man. My answer will take up the rest of the hour to what you just threw out there, and I'm not even going to remember half of what you said. Okay, we'll talk about gravity in a second, but
yes.
we're too small. We're going in a straight line. You don't understand. Every motion of the Earth is curved. Go in a car, drive just 100 miles an hour on the perfectly smooth road. Fill a dinner plate with water to the edge, and then have that car speed up, slow down, or take the slightest turn.
Oh, he almost did. He's so close to almost doing it.
Nope, he's not going to do it. He doesn't understand it. He's a clown.
Well, no, he doesn't understand his own. Say again, John.
He's not going to remember it anyway. You got two goldfish having an argument at this point. David Weiss.
Yeah, if you can't remember the argument that he's spewed out, then, what are you doing there? But no, by the same token, it demonstrates to me that although he's spat it out twice, he hasn't linked it back to the dismissal of the argument with the straight line speed of the train that you shouldn't be discussing because the actual claim is Coriolis effect. But why would Dave be bringing either of them up when it's not his responsibility to demonstrate how Earth is a sphere or isn't going to be demonstrating the effects a sphere says they should? So he can say, as an apologetic or as a mitigation, as Adam just put it, explain why we don't feel them. It's like, well, shouldn't you be proving that we are spinning with something we can actually see or measure or feel, as opposed to apologizing for why we don't feel it?
It's just a simple comeback. It's just acceleration. That's all he's got to bring up.
Yeah, that's all he's got to say. It's acceleration, you'd notice, because it's acceleration. Yes, that's all he's got to do. He hasn't done it, though. He got close. He didn't do it.
Just the slightest turn, and all that water's gone. Okay, and that's what the Earth is doing constantly. We're spinning, we're orbiting, speeding up and slowing down. And
this enrages me.
What?
Caveat your explanations, David Weiss. You are now telling an audience how we spin and turn, and oh my god.
Yep.
And we're chasing the sun in another curve. We're curving in 3 different directions at once. Actually, 4 at unfathomable speeds, and they make these speeds so big that you just can't. Your brain goes, "Oh, those numbers are too big. I have to defer to authority." A guy in a lab coat. Yeah. Do you agree?
Can I?
I just want to say, you were right, Chocolate, because he's just gone. Yes. Did you hear him?
You make the argument without making the argument.
Hold on, Eli. Hold on. Did you hear that, Chocolate?
No, I didn't actually.
Let me just play it again. Just listen. So what Chocolate said about 5 minutes ago, before we did the outro for the live show, was he can just say yes at the end of all this. Well, he does. Listen.
And they make these speeds so big that you just can't. Your brain goes, "Oh, those numbers are too big. I have to defer to authority." A guy in a lab coat. Yeah. Do you agree? Do you?
Yep.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Thanks. I mean, he's giving him his arguments, and all he's saying is, "Yeah, I agree. Yeah." But this example Like, don't people get upset with us because we keep people on one point, right? And we won't move on until we get a concession, or that's that, right? Doesn't this example exactly why we do that? Because he even conceded himself. You're throwing all these things at me. It's all over the place. You're scatterbraining me, right? That's why we do that. This debate examples why that is so important.
Indeed.
Go
ahead, Eli. Hold on, John. Hold on.
Olivia,
Hold on, reflectors. Go ahead, Eli. Hold on one sec. Go ahead, Eli.
No, like I'm just saying, he made the argument without actually making the argument.
Who did, and what argument?
He's still talking about rotation, but he's not saying, no, you didn't hear what I said. Your example is non sequitur because this is a rotation, yada, yada, yada.
No,
Like
he
the
didn't.
audience,
He didn't, because he did when he did say that he hadn't, and yada yada. You know.
Jeez.
No,
he did.
Hold on a second, because that wasn't fair to this other guy about the scattergunning, because that other guy isn't scattergunning Dave Weiss.
Can we all
Dave
stop?
Weiss is scattergunning
Right, stop.
him with
It's just driving me mad. I'm really sorry, John. Right, Andrew Gold, Globehead. David Weiss claimed to be flat earther. Just he, they. No one's going to keep track. Start again, please. Sorry to interrupt.
I apologize. Andrew Gold is not scattergunning Dave Weiss. The flat earther Dave Weiss is scattergunning Andrew Gold with globe claims.
But if you notice, they kind of do it to each other. They kind of take turns.
Yeah, but John's point is that
scattergunning.
yeah, but the point John's making is that Dave Weiss is scattergunning Andrew Gold with globe points.
Right, yeah.
Exactly.
And then the Globe just got to be like, yep, that's what's up.
Yep. Amazing.
It's
We don't
too
feel it at
biggie.
all. Amazing.
It's the beauty of it.
You agree. Okay, on a ball, you say it's so big. Do you know that there's 6 feet of curvature at just 3 miles, according to globe math?
There is 6 speed of curvature at 3 miles according to globe math. What the hell does that even mean?
Yep.
Literally, that isn't even a coherent
No,
sentence.
he said 6 feet, right? 6 feet.
Let's have a listen again.
Yeah.
Do you agree? Okay, on a ball, you say it's so big. Do you know that there's 6 feet of curvature at just 3 miles, according to globe math? 6 feet.
Yeah, I just misheard him.
So a 6 foot tall person standing next to a perfectly calm ocean on a perfectly clear day.
Go ahead.
What I'm failing to see is, so Dave just made all of these positive claims about how fast the Earth is spinning around and orbiting, and then didn't bother to make the caveats. Fine, okay. But then also didn't go on to say that, it's obviously bullshit. He just went with it. I mean, to a new, normie audience, it's almost as if he's doing this on purpose. I don't know, man.
Yep.
Well, it's just, I don't think it's on purpose, as in he's not intentionally out there to punt a sphere. He's just got so into taking apart globe arguments that he's shortened them and condensed them and made them more concise, not appreciating that he's making the descriptions and consistency more favourable to the globe. He just doesn't appreciate that. If you're like, he hasn't put his caveats in, but that's the problem. It does take quite a lot to preface what you're saying, that you're not fighting for that position when you state those things, especially when you say things like, the Earth is spinning in all these different axes. Is it? According to Dave Weiss, it is, because that's what he said, literally. Now, I don't think for one second that he wouldn't, when you were to ask him, if I said, well, why did you say that, Dave? Why are you punting the sphere? He'd go, no, making the example to show it's wrong. But then Morgul's point is, well, he hasn't shown it's wrong afterwards either. So, where's the defense of this? It does seem kind of crap, but it's like, no, it's got so concise that he doesn't even have a globe debunking in it, a flat earth proof in it. He's just got a consistent description of what the globe says happens. That's all it's been refined to.
Should not be able to see the surface.
Stop debating.
Of that water beyond 3 miles, because it's dropped 6 feet and it's just going over faster and faster beyond that. So that's their physical horizon. That water horizon is 3 miles away. Wow. Just 3 miles. Okay. And if you go up higher on a flat Earth, you can see farther.
That's incorrect.
Sorry.
That's wrong.
Yep, that's incorrect.
Distance to the
is wrong.
horizon, please. Yeah.
That's incorrect. So the maths, he said at 6 feet, it was 3 miles. Is that what he said?
What's he on about? What is he reifying the horizon at a distance now?
Yes.
Or why are we back here?
No, that's a ball claim.
Brazil.
Yeah.
Further, because you're increasing.
Yeah, we can literally show the horizon at 10 miles from 1 feet. But this is a ball claim that Dave's now blanking. It's just outrageous, really. It's annoying.
Increasing your angle of view.
Earlier, he had a chance to use this to prove how it isn't the case. And now he's just telling them what they believe it is.
Yes, that's correct.
Jesus.
Right? So
Man,
here
Ninja.
is, I'm going to show you, but looking across water, the air is thick. There's waves. That's an issue. But on top of a mountain, the air is clear and you can see far. Check this out, Andrew. These mountains here, there's 8 of them. They're over 700 miles away. According to your globe math,
What? Why? So there you go. Look how far we can see. It's amazing. If you'd just left it at that, yeah, we can see him. That's it.
tops of these mountains should be over.
Should they? Are we going to now be told what they should be doing based on globe maths? You're doing a great job indoctrinating people onto the globe, Dave. Really great.
40 miles behind a physical curve.
These mountains should be behind a physical curve. I mean, let's postulate why they're not then, given that they should be behind an Earth curve, according to Dave Weiss.
But we can see them all.
He's given a description of the phenomenon. Now we need an explanation. So thank you, Dave. We're going to have to figure out why these mountains aren't blocked by the curvature of Earth now.
Well, to be more precise, he's taken something that we simply see and turned a concrete noun and turned it into a phenomena. Mountain. That's a concrete noun. What's that you say? Shouldn't be there. Oh, right. So it's like, it's phenomenal. It's something occurring, really. It's there when it shouldn't be. So empty space is what we should have, and mountains is what we do have. Wow, that's a phenomena that needs studying. Yeah, now we can argue all about how Earth curve gets in the way. Oh, no, Dave's already prefaced it. Because he's told us what should get in the way of them, right? What the hell?
Oh.
This is amateur night.
Now, you can't say refraction. You can, but it's you don't know what it is. Refraction doesn't bring hidden things from behind a mountain, behind a curve, up and stop at eye level. They're all there. They're all visible. Undeniable.
Okay. Did he claim that they were being refracted? I don't really understand why that was dropped in either.
No, he did.
He just
Along
gave
with that. Yeah, did the Glober say refraction, or did he just say you can't say refraction?
Yeah, he just said it.
Yeah.
Okay. Doesn't mean the Earth is. It means the Earth is 1,000 times bigger than they tell us.
This is a red herring from his own point, because he began with where the horizon should be, and then he segued it to what you see in the distance.
Or it's flat.
I'm often having to deal with pictures of people's pictures saying that, you know, Meghan Markle's baby was fake and stuff like that. And those pictures look very good. So this is the problem, is that you and I are arguing over photos. I don't know the full science about the mountains.
Come again? Science of the mountains. So you think we science concrete nouns? Is that what you think we science, do we? Mountain science?
Not fair. Not fair.
Why not?
No.
Why not?
No. Dave just claimed their phenomenal existence. That's not fair to put that on gold.
Dave doesn't know that he's implied a phenomenal existence of an actual concrete noun, does he? He doesn't know that's what he's done. How can you offer that as a defense?
Doesn't matter. He did it.
Yeah, but for Andrew Gold to take his explanation of a phenomenon, right? That's what he thinks science is doing. So what I'm saying is he has a genuine argument of plausible deniability.
With a very slanted eye, I'll just move on, I suppose.
in the distance. But the thing is, even if that's like low, hang on, let me look at that photo then. Well, I have to look down because I've got my teleprompter, which is small at the top.
And actually, if we're being technical, this whole argument started with the claim being made that we're orbiting around at 66,000 miles an hour, and that was never addressed. Now we're going into the claims that the Earth should have a curve to it, but if you zoom in, we see too far.
I just want to point out that you're no longer at the BBC, Andrew. What is in front of you is not a teleprompter. Yeah? It's a monitor.
Proof of our flat Earth, 700 miles, and these are all these peaks really far in the distance.
On your monitor.
Yep. Yeah, those peaks are clearly like way below wherever you are taking the photo because of
your measurements of how high both of these things are that you've plucked out your ass, Andrew. Well, maybe you have. Let's see if you've got these measurements. Let's just see if he presents them on screen.
The curvature of the Earth.
40 miles of curvature is missing, David. I mean, Andrew. 40 miles. 40
You're thinking about Professor Dave.
No, I'm thinking that, you know, I've defended you saying that, listen, you were just there. You had no idea what was going to happen, and it happened, and I don't blame you.
Yeah.
But we're here.
I don't defend rudeness. I don't defend rudeness, but it was what, you know, I'm just sitting there, and you gave it back as well to him. I thought.
And we're moving on? So where's the measurements? Where's any of this been validated? Yeah, we've got missing curvature, apparently. Now it's on to how Dave feels about his debate with Professor Dave Explains. Okay.
I thought it was it was just both of you shouting at each other, really, wasn't it?
Well, I mean, he didn't let me get a sentence in, and then, you know, him with his nuh-uhs and stuff. But while we're here, by the way, I have this app. It's called the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. It's at flatearthdave.com. But very interesting thing, if you hit the...
No swearing.
What did you say?
Said, what the fuck? No swearing.
Yeah, so we've gone from missing curvature to Dave's app. I mean, someone was asking earlier, well, why is he there? Why not hand over? I think it was Morgile. Why are you doing this? Why not hand it over to more capable debaters? Well, it's because he's got this. He's got his app to sell, right? First segue away from the discussion onto something that's not related to the debate, and we're flogging our app. Okay, that's why. You want to know why? Here it is. It's on screen. Time to flog the app. I mean, it's outrageous. On a slightly different and completely separate subject, smash the super chat if you're watching this. Hit me up on PayPal.
The web button, and you scroll down, we have this debunking the debunk. There you go. And
was more of a debate because he's quite sciencey, right? Whereas this is something, as I said at the beginning, you know a lot about. I'm the next theories. You're obsessed about Professor Dave, and
more Google anything with my name or Flat Earth in it, and Professor Dave will come up. Okay.
Okay.
What's going on
let's get on to the next theories.
Theories. That sounds like a bit of a problematic word for a man who hasn't the slightest idea what science is. The theory would be based on the application of the scientific method. That's hypothesis actualization, otherwise known as experimentation. That would be based on naturally occurring phenomena and the cause thereof being supposed by you, the researcher, and then you, the researcher, varying that which you suppose causes the effect you are studying at step one of this method to see if it actually causes it or not. That's an experiment. And once you validate that which you assume caused the effect as the actual cause, empirically, by way of experiment, you can form a theory. Consider yourself educated.
You're obsessed about Professor Dave. And the thing is, that
it's not a professor. That's just his YouTube name. Unlike you, Andrew, who just put your name, you didn't decide to call yourself Dr. Andrew Gold because you talk about whether or not Meghan Markle's baby's real or not. Making you a doctor. In fact, gynecologist Andrew Gold, because you're talking about people's babies. No, you don't do that. But Professor Dave the Fraud does. He's not a professor.
That was more of a debate because he's quite sciencey, right?
Quite sciencey? No, you wouldn't know science if it slapped you around the face with a giant wet fish, my friend. So how would you know if Professor Dave, who's not a professor, is sciencey or not? No, Dave wouldn't know his arse from his elbow when it comes to science either.
Right, whereas this is something, as I said at the beginning, you know a lot about. I'm not going to be able to refute everything because I just don't know the science. It's not something I've thought too much.
The science? What science? He keeps saying this word like, I don't know the science. Well, you don't know what science is.
about. And I'm pushing back against you, but I'm genuinely intrigued, and I like that there are people out there pushing back against the typical science and things like that, or not science, because I think science is right, but
is it half right? Because what he's saying is people pushing back against the pseudoscience, the claims of science in inverted commas, where there isn't an application of the scientific method to offer the empiricism that those words would suggest they have when they say they've got theories and science and are very sciencey. So what, Dave's very empirical? Not Professor Dave, he's not. But Dave, the other Dave, the one that was up against Dave with his overloaded, out of control, clipping us all hell microphone. That Dave. Yeah, was he sciencey? What does that mean? No, science is a method. It offers empiricism. Prof. Dave, by YouTube title only, is not that.
What we've been taught. You shouldn't just take things for granted. However, I still believe that the Earth is spherical. Tell me this, why... do you...
Or to sum up the last 25 minutes of discussion between you two, you've achieved nothing, have you, David Weiss? Absolutely nothing. You've not changed his view in any way, shape or form. Literally nothing. We're still at the you plugging your app stage, but you haven't actually achieved anything with the person you're talking to. But you still feel you've got the right to ask people for money for your app. Why? In 25 minutes of discussion with the owner of the app, you haven't managed to convince him of a damn thing.
You believe that people have been to the moon?
Okay, we'll give our response. Travel to the moon would involve a trip through a second law of thermodynamics violation sky vacuum, addressed earlier when you said atmosphere contains us. No, it does not. The sky vacuum would be an area of volume for that gas pressure to fill. And we'd all be dead if rockets could leave our quote-unquote atmosphere sphere-shaped oxymoron through the sky vacuum to visit the moon. No, that would leave us all dead. We'd be at 10 to the minus 17 torr vacuum at sea level. None of us would be breathing. Gas would fill space. If rockets can travel into it, so can the gas.
Do you?
Yes.
I was gonna mention something, if I may.
Feel free.
Okay. So, and I don't down anyone for being a good capitalist or making money or whatever. You got to make money to live, right? I wish I was a better capitalist. I'm a very crappy capitalist. Let's just say that. But if your app is successful enough to where it's affording you speedboats or whatever, then, I mean, technically, and I mean this in the most sincere and sweetheart kind of way, you can just sponsor people that will plug your app and actually do a decent job of debating high-profile globetards. Because this sort of interview, or I don't even really want to call it a debate, but we'll use the air quotes debate. This is the sort of thing that can actually get new people looking into this subject, is when you go onto platforms that are globetards, right? But instead of making flat Earth seem even more foolish than it was before the person watched this interview or debate, I mean, it would make a lot more sense, even for the success of the app, to sponsor somebody who knows what the hell they're talking about and knows how to debate in general.
Fair enough. I totally agree. I mean, that would be the genius way to do it.
We can do can we do another show on the moon landing? We'll touch on it for a second.
Does the moon exist?
What kind of question is that? Really, Andrew? Have you been outside and looked up more than once?
Well, we see.
I would answer a lot of these questions. I didn't cover this earlier when he was like, what is flat Earth? Right, my answer would be as follows. It's, just try and keep up, Andrew. It's the notion of the Earth, that'd be the stuff you're standing on the ground, being flat. Yeah? That would be my answer. And in respect to this...
Yes.
Oh, my Lord. We can do can we do another show on the moon landing? We'll touch on it for a second.
Does the moon exist?
Yes. Yes, it does, Andrew. I'm surprised you'd even ask that question. That would be my response. In a very condescending... I'd muster every bit of condescension I could muster in the tone I responded to that question with.
Of course. Well, we see something in the sky, that's for sure. Do you know that...
What do you believe we see?
We see what I think it looks like a moon.
A moon?
Okay? But you know what's interesting? You know the submarine, whatever the what is it? Watergate? What's it called?
Yeah, no, that's not Watergate. Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
Seagate.
Yes.
Well, it's the same thing. It's
Yeah.
the same thing, right? So let me ask you a question. You're a billionaire, okay? And you say, hey, we're going to put you into a metal box that has no.
They can't have gas pressure without a container. If the sky was a vacuum to facilitate trips to the moon, then we'd all be dead because the gas we're breathing at high pressure would vacate the area of volume that we have into the sky vacuum, along with the area that the claimed travel to the moon took place in. So we definitely didn't have moon travel. That's the end of the argument. Took about 25 seconds.
Hold on a sec. Why is he? The line of questioning was, "Do you think the moon exists?" And why is Dave? I get the feeling that he's running away from that. I don't understand why.
He also said a moon. It looks like a moon as opposed to another moon, like what another
That's
moon
right.
would look like.
I don't know. He did phrase it badly. You're right.
Windows, and you're just going to look at a small computer screen, and we're going to go down to the Titanic. Or option 2, you can stay on the ship, have a
Teleprompter, David. Teleprompter.
martini, and watch it on a big screen. Are you going to go in this little thing? Right? This thing goes down. Hundreds of engineers from around the world are giving you their expert analysis. This thing goes to the moon 50 years ago, and nobody will give it an analysis from an engineer. Nobody.
Analysis from an engineer? Who gives a crap? I'm sure it was physically put into reality by engineers that are hyper qualified and would tell you how exactly capable of traveling to a Narnia region that isn't real. Who cares how well it's built or how well it's engineered? So by this standard, if just by pure chance, Andrew Gold had, just by actual coincidence, I have NASA engineer Tom Friedman. Round of applause for Tom Friedman, who sits down and says, yeah, I absolutely built that. Yeah, it's perfectly sound. Yes, could definitely suffer the rigors of space and absolutely went to the moon. What's he going to do then? He's claimed that it's not engineered well enough. Well, if an engineer says it was and he built it, does that suffice that we've got a trip to the moon now? No, it's a crap standard. Debunk Narnia. Space is fake. Can't have gas pressure without a container. We're breathing it.
This is pathetic, Dave. You're supposed to be one of the leaders of the flat Earth. You're back. This is worse than 2015 arguments. You're a clown. Your charter's been revoked.
Well, I would like to say that I can see the inherent use in trying to debunk the thread count of the garments that the kids wore through when they went through the wardrobe to Narnia. I can see how that's useful.
No, I don't. But there we go.
Nobody, right? Absolute insanity. Now, right now, India is going to the moon. Okay, this is actual footage from India's moon mission.
It's absolutely infuriating. India are not going to the moon, will never go to the moon, and neither is anybody else, because you can't have gas pressure, which we are breathing, without containment. Now, the assertion that there is no containment to the gas pressure, and it's not vacating into the area of volume known as outer space, an area that this trip by India is claimed to be taken in, then the gas we're breathing would also be capable of travelling into that area, leaving us all dead. I tell the audience that India are going to the moon. What is he doing? God, Dave, you're an embarrassment.
Andrew,
Right.
Not a trick question, test question.
Is it flat as well?
No. The objects in the sky have nothing to do with the Earth, okay?
Okay.
Andrew, is this real?
Excuse me, the objects in the sky could save your life if you were lost at sea, Dave. Based on their ground position, the position where they are above at a given time. So that if you've lost your way, you can literally take those lights in the sky and directly translate them to positions on the ground so that you don't die. Nothing to do with the ground or the basis of the Cartesian system that gives you your GPS in your car and your boat. Because they're based on a flat Earth too, Dave. and they're utilising the lights in the sky that you say have got nothing to do with the ground. You're incompetent. You're incompetent. There's no other word for it.
I think what he's saying is he's saying that, because I get this argument a lot too, you know, the sun and the moon are spheres flying around in the sky, and so are Jupiter and Mercury too. So because these spheres are flying around in the sky, then the Earth must be a sphere too. That's sort of the globetard logic. And what Andrew's asking David is
it flat?
Is the moon a sphere? Right? Is it flat? That's where he's going with this. And that's a really good opportunity to say at least something along the lines of, you know, the Earth is not the lights in the sky, right? So I think that's where Dave was going with it.
Yeah, I'll take it back. I think you're right. He's based on the fact that it's been caveated by Andrew as, is the moon flat? Then he's directly relating it by juxtaposition. So therefore, I'm a bit unreasonable. However, as a statement in isolation that I could cherry pick, I'm still right. I'm not. It's very unreasonable. Thank you, Morgile. I'll take it back.
No,
you're good, man.
It's wrong. It's all wrong. As soon as because as soon as he brought up the moon, is the moon flat? David Weiss says no. Like, how does he know? I don't know what it is. You just say, I don't know what the moon is, and I can't make any claims about something I don't know what it is. And
I'm glad you've said it, because I was going to drop it in, but if I'd have dropped it in, it'd been in between the statement, which is to say, how do you know it isn't? Which almost sounds like I'm claiming it is, but you've packaged it up much nicer after the fact. Thank you for dropping that in. Yeah. Like I say, I was going to jump in. How do you know it's not flat? What is it? You can't tell me what it isn't either, because you don't know. Neither do I. Neither does Brian. None of us know.
Andrew Gold, I listened to some earlier when he brought up the whole caveman example. Like, where he says, well, back in the time of the cavemen, did they exist? People didn't know. They just thought this and that because of what they could see with their eyes and feel with their hands. Like, Andrew Gold does not take this David guy serious at all. I just know from the tone of him, he's laughing at him. Andrew Gold doesn't take this topic serious, not one bit.
Yes, he is.
Fuck no, he doesn't take him seriously. Would you? I wouldn't. And no offense to Dave, but I wouldn't take him seriously for an instant.
I would agree.
No, I wouldn't.
In case, if Andrew Gold watches this back after the fact, what we're essentially saying is we don't blame you for taking a very nonchalant attitude to what you're being presented with.
Made this myself. I could have made this myself.
I couldn't tell you. But listen, it wouldn't be very scientific of me, not that I am a scientist, to just see a thing you've shown me and to go, oh, that must be what India's showing, and therefore all moon landings are fake.
Is this real?
It wouldn't be very scientific. I mean, that would be a true statement, because science would be the establishment of cause and effect based on naturally occurring phenomena and hypothesis construction actualized with experiment to form theory. I mean, that would be sciencey. And as you've correctly identified, this wouldn't be that. Not that you'd know that was the reason why it isn't science. You think it would be more sciencey to observe and declare, as is done in the heliocentric declaration of your religion. That would be sciencey, according to you, no doubt.
Real? Is this real? This is the Russian landing on the moon years ago. Is that real, Andrew?
I mean, it could be.
This would be an interesting one. This is probably the strongest string to David Weiss's bow, right? As much as we might knock their anomaly hunting, they've got the most refined arguments in that respect, haven't they? Let's be honest. So let's see how he gets on with these.
It could be, or it might be a parody. What do I know?
I'm going to give credit to Dave Weiss here. He's picked a good example. That's very Thunderbirds. You can't see it. I'm sorry, guys, in the Hangout.
Is this real? Is this real? This is the...
No, it's definitely not real. That's clearly a model.
Russian landing on the moon.
Oh, I love the flame. Good choice, Dave. Credit where it's due.
Years ago.
I've never seen that. I've not ever seen the apparently Russian LEM land. That's the first I've seen of that. Good choice. Props.
Is that real?
Definitely not. He's not. He's looking at it on his teleprompter.
I mean, it could be, or it might.
It could be. No, definitely not. It's Thunderbirds, mate.
Be a parody. What do I know?
It
might not.
Oh wow! What a disclaimer. It could be a parody. So somehow in his mind's eye, at least he was honest. He's like, wow, it looks really fake. Well, it could just be somebody joking with you. Yeah,
but hold on. We'll make the connection from the Russians have faked images of going to outer space. Therefore, you can't go to space. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's just because those pictures are fake doesn't mean that space doesn't exist. So I don't see it's non sequitur conclusion that you come to about reality. I don't.
Yeah, no, I agree. But by the same token, you know, he's trying to break this guy of his paradigm because he thinks, based on the footage, that they've been to the moon. That's where Dave has taken this. Now, we already have critiqued him in terms of him not taking apart the fact that the journey itself is fake and you can't travel to the moon if the sky vacuum's real, etc., etc. But yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with you, so I won't. I'll just spin on.
Not be real, but how do I know that that's even the real footage?
Well, what if you
Well, that's what it's claimed to be. It's claimed to be a trip to the moon, right?
found it on? What if you found it on NASA's website? What if you found these pictures on NASA's website where all of the clouds are the same from the Earth for all the different Apollo missions?
I love how deep it goes. And you know, fair play to you. The thing is, what's difficult for me here is, and it's not your fault. It's that I have to deal with this with every conspiracy. You know, we talk about Scientology, then I get a bunch of Scientologists telling me, and they are so well versed in the minutiae of every little aspect of everything about Lord Zeno or whatever it might be. And then the Jehovah's Witnesses get involved, and then the Hasidic Jew, and then, you know, it just goes on and on. So
yeah, what you really need is somebody with some really good arguments that actually aren't debunkable, that you can't work your way around, based on the claims made by the actual positive assertion of the heliocentric globe Earth model. If somebody's got those claims on the table concisely, and someone else has got the undoing of those claims, that's the end. But yeah, like you say, if you've just got to deal with anomaly hunting in footage from Russians and NASA, then yeah, you can throw it in the air and go, oh, well, I don't know, it could be fake, it might not be. We're still on a ball. We're still flying through space. None of that's changed for Andrew Gold.
You know, I don't know about these photos.
I'm not faith-based. I'm evidence-based, okay? So here's what NASA tells us. This was on the moon. This is the thruster. Now, the moon has a lot of dust on it.
Ed?
Well, to your point, yeah, we're still flying through space, just like David Weiss said.
Yeah.
And never said anything else about us not doing so.
Yeah, we've flown our way through space, as Dave described. We've made our way to the moon. Now we're on the moon. But check out how fake the footage is. Okie-doke.
Well, he just said the moon has a lot of dust on it. Okay.
Yep. A lot of dust out there in that second law of thermodynamics violation, Dave.
Yeah, again, it's his terminology. I don't want anyone to spin this into, oh, Dave's obviously actually intentionally on this show trying to promote a globe. He's not. He just hasn't caveated it enough. He hasn't given a disclaimer. According to your religion of a ball Earth in a vacuum with a moon orbiting it, there's a lot of dust, as John says, in that second law of thermodynamics sky vacuum that we definitely don't have out in Narnia. But here's how the thrusters work.
Exactly. You got it. He's on his script. He's got to stay with his script because he doesn't have any arguments and he's a retard. Follow?
No need.
There's no dust crater. Okay, let's just pretend that doesn't matter, but it does.
It only matters beyond the literally 1980s debunking that was offered up by the original moon hoaxer people. So, I mean, given that this is what, as old as I am in terms of debunkings.
Okay, and then here is when they left the moon. So my question to you is 1970, when they're using film. Who filmed this? There's two guys in here without seats. Now watch, the nozzle's down here. So
I actually know the answer to this. It's one of the first things I covered when I got to this subject. So I actually know the answer.
What's this thing, gliding? So it's shot like a shotgun, and then the skeet is coming across where it's going to connect. Okay,
I have no idea.
Let me enlighten you, unless Dave does it first.
I know, but you're not thinking. There are orbiters going on.
Okay, but I'm thinking, Dave, in whose interest is it to continue the lie that the Earth is round and that the moon...
Okay, so we're going to segue away from that particular piece of evidence. Might as well explain this, because I got berated by people when I offered up the exact same argument in the same way Dave did just now and presented it in video format. It's still available on Oakley Cord channel if you want to check it out, and you can read all the comments for yourself. But everyone told me exactly how NASA has claimed to have done this. So I double-checked the story and rhetoric, and it turned out that is the rhetoric. So this is the official rhetoric, right? From what I just saw on the footage that Dave picked, it's from the 3rd or 4th mission to the moon. Now, prior to that, they had attempted with the, whatever the rover's called, to film it by way of the relay in Australia. So they send a signal, and whatever, I don't know the exact timings, I can't be asked to work out the heliocentric timings, but let's just say it's 7 seconds. Literally, a guy at mission control sends a signal by pushing a joystick, and that signal is then relayed all the way to the moon, received by the rover that is then going to tilt its camera 7 seconds later to film the takeoff from the moon. Now, in the first claim to be in their rhetoric, 4 or 3 or whatever it is attempts, they just didn't get it. But just by the right amount of practice, by about the 4th go, he knows how long 7 seconds is and pushes that joystick up just at the right moment to remotely operate the camera to film it perfectly and relay the signal all the way back to Earth so we have that beautiful footage. That's the story. So it's a remote control camera operated from Dallas that's a guy operating the batteries from the 70s on the LEM, on the moon, in the second law of thermodynamics violation by sky vacuum that would leave us all dead, not breathing. There you go. There's their official rhetoric. That's how they explain it if you were to try and find out, well, who did film it? That seems like a glaring plot hole that they wouldn't have thought of. Yeah. They want you to find out that they say they remotely operated it, basically.
They would throw in there that the space is an area where gas is not filling in violation of the second law. They would throw that in there.
Yeah, that would be what we would do. Go ahead, Morgal.
So when Dave Weiss gets excited and passionate about something, I swear to God, every time he does, I can't get it out of my head. He reminds me of Tigger from Winnie the Pooh bouncing around on his tail. I don't know why that's so funny to me.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Moon is real.
We're going to answer that at the end after I show you all the dead.
Around about that time that you did that Art Bell debate, you also published a really good video explaining globe fakery. But one of your analogies used a 15-second Disney clip, and they had the whole video off you. I remember it really distinctly. It was around about the same time.
Dead bodies. We're going to
bastards. Disney. Fair use. Fair use.
We could speculate on who the murderer is. All right. So just to recap real quick. There's no engine on this. There's a guy orbiting at 2,000 miles above, and they're going to connect, and then they're going to go back to Earth. Okay.
I don't know what that is.
This is the launch of the LEM going back to the orbiter. The 3 guys went to the moon. 1 guy stayed on the orbiter, and 2 of them landed on the moon, played golf, drove a dune buggy, and then took off in that thing to meet back up. Okay. So wait, hold on. Yeah. The 1 guy left in orbit. Look at this. This is done on a 0G plane. All right. He's playing with his paper, lots of paper in orbit. Right. And then watch this. Yeah. He lets it float. Oh, cool. Now look, who's panning up? Who's panning up?
I don't know. I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they do the filming.
Dave, here we go.
Oh no, Professor Dave's still on his mind.
You're just Dave for the rest of the show. That's it. Okay.
Yeah, that's very telling, actually. So you calling him Dave does affirm what he alluded to earlier, what Andrew Gold alluded to, which was that in your mind you're still battling Professor Dave. Well, the first time it happened, yeah, just a slip of the tongue. Second time, very telling.
Yeah. Right. Whatever. That is funny. There's a British sitcom where that does happen. The guy keeps getting called Dave, but that's irrelevant to non-Brits. So, plenty of people have been to the moon, and again, we shouldn't get bogged down in the moon thing because that's a whole different thing.
Nah, we wouldn't have got bogged down with it here. We'd have told you that traveling via a sky vacuum isn't possible. It's Narnia. All of this fakery only exists as fakery because it needs faking because you haven't got a Narnia sky vacuum to travel through to get to the moon. Yeah, we wouldn't be dwelling on this at all.
Sorry.
Go on, Adam.
Did you get the backhanded insult there?
What? When he said plenty of people have been to the moon?
No, he just called him Trigger out of Only Fools and Horses. Oh, yeah. There's a guy that calls everybody Dave. All right, Dave. Yeah, he's just called him Trigger out of Only Fools and Horses, which is a way of calling somebody dumb.
Did you know that there was an Only Fools and Horses American pilot, and the granddad character was played by Doc Brown? Did you know that?
No, I didn't know. I
Google
can't
it.
see that working.
It is awful. It's a pilot that has, instead of Trigger, right, they've kept the name, but they've made Trigger into a dodgy dealing guy that flogs them a DeLorean that's been lifted, like a monster DeLorean, right? But that's sold to them by Trigger. Now, when I'm watching this, I'm like, what the hell is Trigger, the dumb character, selling them a DeLorean that's on stilts? Surely Boise, the car dealer, would be the most appropriate wheeler and dealer scumbag type of guy to sell him that car. But no, Trigger sells him it. And you're like, Trigger's the road sweep that calls everyone Dave because he can't remember anyone's name. Right, Dave?
What, Dave?
Thing. Yeah, but they've all got a lie. It's just too much lying.
There's not that many. There's only a few people that have gone. They're all Freemasons. Look at the Apollo. Then the 3 Apollo astronauts got back for their press conference. They literally look like someone just shot their dog. Okay? They just went to the moon, played golf, and drove dune buggies. They come back and they're like, yes.
These are very serious people.
If you went to the moon, what would you do? Take 100,000 pictures of rocks, or would you point the camera to the Earth? Okay? Never once on the moon did they go look at the Earth. Never once did they say the word Earth. They never said the word Earth. Are you kidding me? When you're coming into
if they were acting in a film, and it was all faked, they would also look at the Earth, wouldn't they?
They would say, look at the Earth if they were acting in a film, but they were acting in a deception. I'm going to listen. I want to run you through something.
That doesn't make a difference.
I want to run you through something. And I want you to use
what's underneath the Earth?
The deepest hole ever dug is only 7.8 miles, and they hit an impenetrable barrier. United States and Russia were working on that hole the whole time together, and they couldn't get through it, and they were wrong every step of the way on what they were going to hit next. And then all of a sudden they know the next 4,000 miles. Nobody knows the answer to that.
Good.
I said no swearing. He said United States and Russia were working on that hole.
Andrew, I need 2 minutes to run you through something that you can figure out, okay? You're on an airplane, you're a pilot, and you're looking out the front window at these.
Hey, Brian, this is yours and Adam's example. Let's see how well it does with this one.
Stars. Are these stars above you?
No, it's not. It's bend.
Or are they on the horizon?
In that picture, just anyone listening on audio, there's a picture and the stars are sort of diagonally up from the Earth.
No. The stars in relation to the front window of this airplane. Is airplane
that plane? I couldn't see the plane. Sorry, it's all small. What I'm looking at.
So
okay.
Is that?
He's got a very small teleprompter.
Are those stars in front of you or are they above you? Easy question.
No, because the easy question is that they're in front of me, and you're going to show me that they're not. But I mean,
no, they are. They are. But now the plane is flying from the north to the south, and in front of them is a different area of space. These stars are now above the airplane. Would you agree that would have to happen?
Well, the thing is, Dave, there's so much to the scientific about light refraction and things like that. How the hell am I going to answer that,
Andrew? You're just trying to argue. You're better.
Keep going. Just keep going. You're doing well, Dave. This is the best thing you've done so far.
You're better than this. Okay.
And you're smiling. You know you're doing well. Just keep going. Make the example. Conclude it. Go on. You can do this.
The answer is...
Don't try your ad hominem arguments on me, Dave. I see through.
Don't take the bait. Get on with the example. Get it back on track, Dave. Come on. You can do this.
Boom, immediately.
Yeah, okay. All right. So
you're better than this, and I want to be better than this, and then I'm going to start believing you.
This is what reality shows. We're cruising from the north to the south, and these stars aren't rising up. Now, if we go on Google Earth on a flight simulator and say, what would we see? This is what Google Earth shows you. They show you the stars as you go over the ball, right? You're looking at a star over here. You go over, and now it's above you. This is what Google Earth says should happen. This is what common sense dictates should happen. But reality shows something completely different.
Okay.
And the argument you're going to get... All right, go ahead. We'll go.
I think the issue we have here is...
Not bad. I mean, to polish it off, you needed to make a full conclusion. Earth could not possibly be a sphere because of that. I mean, other than the concise summary of what it disproves, that was pretty good. Anybody disagree?
It's almost coherent.
Yeah. Well, I think that this part, if you're gonna clip this show out, I think that last 2 minutes should be the thing that you promote.
If you were Dave Weiss, if you were Dave.
No, I mean this show. Like, if you're gonna clip it out, if you as a critique, like the intro, I would. It just to me makes sense that you would give this part as the intro.
Okay.
Like, you're almost there, Dave. Anyway.
We're gonna have. Firstly, I don't have.
Go on.
No
science, right? I'm not even qualified to like eat a sandwich, right? So I don't know why.
There you go. Deferring to authority. You don't have the common sense. You don't have the education.
It's not deferring to authority. Hang on. I either defer to authority or I defer to you. Either way, I'm deferring.
No. Like, you can. Oh, nobody all the time. All right. I'm sorry. I don't buy the bullshit.
I think.
There's.
What's wrong with Professor Brian Cox?
I can't. Just listen to the stuff he says. Everything he says is complete nonsense. Here's the thing. We've done the work for you. Here's the experiments tab on the app, right?
And so he's done the work. I've watched all the documentaries.
Yep. Come again? Sorry, experiments tab on the app. Oh, that's interesting. I wonder how many are experiments.
You watched all the documentaries, right? So
about the beautiful
hold on, we've done. Yes, that's it.
This is going to be a problem, Dave, because this is fraud. That's what it is. You're selling this app based on the experiments tab that you're now promoting. That's fraud.
That's how they get you. Here are all the experiments. We've done them for you.
Have you? Okay. So I'm going to need the hypothesis for each and every one of those, Dave. And if you don't give them me, I'm going to call you a fraudster because you're selling this based on them being experiments and they're not. Now, I personally have approached Dave on multiple occasions to explain how they are not experiments, why they are not experiments, and he has chosen to shut me down, cut me off, and this is why. Because it interferes with his fraud. Because that's what this is. This is fraud.
Well, see, this goes back to me and Flat Earthers' point that it is against their betterment to actually know the truth or to express the truth.
Exactly refracted.
Hey, maybe somebody just told Dave to say it's demonstrations instead.
You were
That's what
on
they
it,
are.
D Rose. You were telling us that that's what he was doing. You were on it.
Told you.
And
Don't tell me the computer crashed.
Just say it's demonstrations.
Right. Yeah. If it would say it was demonstrations, that would be one thing. But he's stated them specifically as experiments. He's been told that they're not, but he's not willing to accept it because the part that's false would, he's benefiting from that falsehood. So it's going to be really hard to get him to see where he's wrong.
He's using science to grease the skids and sell his damn app, like D Rose said weeks ago.
Now, a real man with ethics would rescind or retract or redact that and say, I made an apology. I'm apologize to my audience. I was schooled by my friend, Nathan, who told me and explained to me the scientific methodology. And I haven't been doing experiments, and these are not experiments on my videos. These are demonstrations, which still prove that there's flat Earth because science doesn't prove flat Earth. The only thing that proves flat Earth is celestial navigation and measurement. And I show you measurements and demonstrations, yada, yada, yada. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's not science, exactly. You're not going to prove that a shape. It's not a phenomena. So it's outside the purview of scientific inquiry.
All the evidence and videoed it and documented it and proved it. And of course, if you don't believe it, you can go out and do it yourself. But most people, after watching these, going, "Oh, well, that makes a lot of sense." And
hey, Mac users, have you noticed your
I'm not gonna need to redo that.
Right. Let me ask you a few things, because I'm just concerned, particularly for those listening on the audio. I'm concerned about losing them with the sort of scientific stuff, and we're never going to be.
Yes, Adam.
Quick question. What can, if I get the app, can I go out and do that will prove it? What experiment? That's quite a claim. And I'd be intrigued as to what you can do experiment-wise to go and prove it.
You can't. It's
Like
I've just explained why you can't. You can't prove a flat Earth with science because flat Earth is not a phenomena.
Yeah, no. I'm asking, well, what is over there then?
Yeah, I'm putting my neck out without much concern when I say this is fraud. Fact. I can summarize it with one statement. Proving a flat Earth is not possible because you can't cause and effect relationship a flat Earth. That's it. Therefore, it's fraud. Simple.
Yeah, it's fraud. It's the same thing I charged that Globe Dumpsters group with. What was that group? Adam, you were involved with them. What was the name of their little group? FE Core. The same thing I charged them with fraud because in their charter they had experiments listed.
Yep.
Remember that?
Yes, I do.
Be able to solve that once and for all on here. It's just going to be impossible. I want to get more to the psychological stuff going on here. I want to know, or not the psychological stuff, the conspiratorial stuff. I want to know who is it that is trying to keep the fact that the world is flat from us and why.
Who cares? Demonstrating that it's flat is our primary concern here. Yeah, who cares? We would just prefer to demonstrate to you how it's flat, how it's measured and navigated flat, obviously and observably flat. That's what we would show you. What's that? You want to know why you were lied to? I don't care. You can fathom that out for yourself.
In a court of law, you do, like, let's say it's a murder trial. It definitely helps to show a motive. And also, this is one of the common things that people are going to ask you, right? So if you're talking to Normie Normalson, telling him the Earth's not a spinning ball, eventually once he gets past the satellites and the boat's going over the curve and the Coriolis effect, eventually he's going to throw his hands up and say, well, why? What's the motive? So, I mean, you kind of do have to deal with it. I mean, sure, you can say it's beyond our purview. The Earth is measurably flat and stationary, and why they've lied about this is kind of irrelevant to the point. But, I still think you got to deal with it. You have to address it when they ask.
Here's how I deal with it.
It's a logical fallacy.
Motive fallacy. We're not in a court.
Right, we're both saying the same thing over top of each other. You go ahead. All right, Will.
Go ahead, say it.
It's a logical fallacy. It's called appeal to motive or motivation fallacy. So if you're only trying to prove that someone has died, yeah, and you present a dead body, and then if the standard is prove they're dead, just for the example, and it's not a courtroom example, it's just prove there is a dead body. Here's the corpse. But why would they have been killed? Who cares? The standard's been fulfilled. Dead body.
Right. You're absolutely right, and it is. It's ridiculous, isn't it? But that's a good analogy. Yeah.
So this is going to be a hard one for you because you don't believe in a creator. Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't want to.
I used to be you. I didn't believe, or I.
Oh, it's such a cheap shot. Whenever I hear that, I just think, oh, cheap shot, low blow. I used to be like you too. It's so condescending. I used to be where you are. You can elevate yourself to my position. Just have to listen carefully.
I didn't know. I kind of had the same answer. But after I did the work and found...
I was like you, I did not know. I used to not know like you don't know. Now let me let you know.
found out that the Earth is intelligently designed, I had no choice but to realize there's a creator.
I wonder if he'll evidence this with a standard.
And that's kind of where I let people take their journey relationship with the creator from there. I can prove to you.
Okay, you've said you can prove it, right? Now, if Dave Weiss, there's going to be a lot of people pissed if you literally use a baseless assertion fallacy to prove there's a creator. That's going to be a pretty poor show.
You walk up to a giant building, a skyscraper, you go, who's the architect? And the person goes, I don't know. He goes,
the architect?
Well, then the building doesn't exist. Well, no, the building is intelligently designed. Absolutely. This world is provably intelligently designed. Okay? And they're
How is it provably?
Go ahead.
Tell us. Yeah.
Yep. Go ahead.
The people that are running it, I don't even think the people that we see that are running it, I think they're just the puppets of the real people that may live outside of Antarctica.
What the hell?
Okay.
Here we go.
We're progressive flat Earth.
Do we skirt onto the ontological primitives? Should we do it? I'm not going to. Let's just move on.
He just red herring fallacy away from his point.
Yeah, completely. The problem is, at this point, right? If you're going to appeal to there being a creator, offer up the highest of standard of evidence to damn well prove in no uncertain terms that there is. Now, in this instance, there is actually experimental validity that leaves you at the ontological primitives. That's where we get all of our modern technology from with quantum mechanics. So you can offer that up. I'm going to butcher the saying about the first sip of natural science will make you an atheist, but at the bottom of the glass, God is waiting for you. Werner Heisenberg, I believe.
Yeah, you didn't butcher it. That was good. But Dave only gave half the argument. He said, when you look at a building, there's an architect there. It's intelligently designed. And that was it. There's nothing in nature that he provided for his juxtaposition. It's not even an argument. He's a clown.
But I don't know. I don't want to lay necessarily down the expectation that Dave needs to understand the causality relationship to the world and the inference that knowledge, which is required by a knower in the first instance, dictates the physical reality. I wouldn't expect him to know that.
He brought it up.
Oh yeah, he did, didn't he?
Yes, he only gave half of it.
My bad. I'm just.
He doesn't have to go on the quantum mechanics. He had a point, right? He said, okay, the building has an architect. Now there's a lot of things in nature that prove what? And then he went on to a different subject. He didn't complete the argument.
Let me just explain why I'm rubbing my eyes and feeling a bit uncomfortable about this, right? Because I see hope, right? I see that Dave can be educated in this stuff. And with a small, subtle change into his app, he's no longer a fraudster. With a small, subtle change to his argumentation, he's winning these arguments outright. Right, so a few subtle changes that will only benefit him. I see that as a glimmer of hope that might eventually be achieved. However, explaining to Dave Weiss functional sequence specified complexity and knowledge of which path, I don't want to do that. I'm sorry, I draw the line somewhere. I'm not doing that. No, that's not my responsibility. I'm not doing it. Okay?
I didn't. Well, and I have to go into that. Contrarily to your point, I would say that after so many years of doing this, because I'll be real honest with you, I was cringing at Dave Weiss debates years ago. You would think that some improvement would be noticeable, or, some degree of improvement. But, I mean, it appears to me like we're going backwards, man. And again, I hate to sound like I'm being offensive, but I take flat earth stuff very personally, and I'm very passionate about it. And when I see people that I know just making absolute fools of themselves on pretty high profile flat earth debates, it makes me physically ill. Like I get physical reactions to it. So, I mean, I can't change the way I feel. That's how I feel about it.
Completely agree. I totally understand what you mean. That's what I was trying to get across to the audience a couple of weeks ago. I'm like, a glober doing a bad job of punting the globe is forgettable. Dave Weiss doing a bad job of it, it makes my toes curl. It makes me cringe. It physically makes me feel bad. right? It does make me lose sleep. This, I can pour more negative emotion into this than any, I don't know, 100 Globers coming through wouldn't affect me in the slightest with their crappy arguments for the globe. This, on the other hand, it upsets me. Same with Jaren. It upsets me. And maybe that makes it seem more selfish. I want to relieve myself of that distress when I see them doing so badly. And I know I can. So them fighting against it is just like, oh, why? You could be fantastic at this.
Nathan, you feel associated with David. It's like the difference between your neighbor making an ass out of himself in public and somebody from your home making an ass out of themselves in public, right?
Exactly. If the next door neighbour's running around naked, you just roll your eyes and get on with your washing up or chuckle with your wife. If your son or daughter's doing it, we need to have a little word with her or him.
So what is the conclusion of this? Is the question, is he purposely taking a dive? Isn't it?
Are we summarising that this is a dive or just a lack of progression from 2015?
He's too stupid to take a dive.
He's taking a date.
Okay, so I have a confession to make. I also completely agree with whatever refracted curvature said, and Nathan also agreed. But like 6 years ago, when I was just stepping into the realm of flat Earth, when I came across David Weiss, I thought that I have found a landmine of good videos, because all those questions which were coming around in my head, what happens to the sun and how do tides work and how does this and that and everything, he had videos addressing those points. But it takes time to realize that he's only taking you in circles. And then you arrive at Nathan Oakley and quantum eraser happens to you.
Now, are you talking about videos that Dave Weiss made or videos that he just shared on his platforms?
Probably a bit of both.
Basically, his platform, the app being the YouTube channel Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock, has playlists for everything. So I'm talking about that. It includes many of his own videos also and videos from various other sources, all to the same effect eventually.
Right, but I guess what my point is someone's ability to download a video and then repost it on their channel doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be able to debate that point. Do you see what I'm saying? That's my point.
He's got fans here in India. So that's my point. People get attracted
Jonathan,
to that kind
that
of
was
stuff.
spot on.
Hold on, got two people talking.
Sorry, Jonathan, that was spot on what you just said. I just want to make sure before I forget.
Which Jonathan?
Just because you can make videos, well, the one that just said, just because you can make a bunch of videos and post them and talk about the videos and all that doesn't mean you're qualified to debate the topic you're trying to report.
No, I think you're all missing. Okay, now you've said that. Yeah, I got that from Morgal, but if that's what you've taken away from this, fine, that's correct. But that isn't the point that Arthur's making. He's saying that when you arrive in the subject, and he's saying, I'm confessing to this because it's negative, right, Arthur? When I got here, I had all these questions that are directly related to the positive claims that the globe make. And when you relinquish yourself of the sun's going behind Earth curve edge, the natural progression is to go, well, why does the sun do that? Now, Arthur's saying he then finds his way to Dave Weiss's app or Dave Weiss's videos or whatever. Morgal then is interjecting and saying, that doesn't mean they're his, just because he's reposted stuff. Or that the original poster knows what they're talking about, or has anything to offer other than an observation of something. But when you're looking for answers to replace the positive claims that are alluded to prove the globe, you will find your way to next guru in line, in this case Dave Weiss. And is he debunking the globe / proving flat Earth, or leading you around in circles with answers to questions that in some instances with puddles and ice walls, and it's all bullshit. But you've got a natural tendency to gravitate, and I use my words intentionally, towards those types of answers because you've had to relinquish previously positively thought statements about the globe that you no longer have. So yeah, you're going to naturally go, I want the answers to those questions that I don't have anymore. It's like, yeah, but by doing so, you're not recognizing that you don't actually need to answer those questions in the first instance. But what you do need is an affirmation first and foremost, before you move any further forward when you first get here in this subject, that it definitely is flat. You need some cast iron proof of it so that you can sod the sleepless nights and worry about whether or not you're right. Am I right? Is it flat? Could I be wrong? No, you're not. Here's how it's measured flat. Oh, yeah. So it could only be flat. Yeah, in fact, all the claims for a globe will come from that flat plane. Here's a couple more examples that show how the globe is derived from a flat plane. You all good? Now get lost. Don't need to tell you about NASA. Don't need to tell you about what the ice wall might be. I don't need to give you anything. Well, you got all those questions still? I don't care. You know it's flat, right? Good. On your way. That's all you need.
Can I say something? If you use an argument, if I'm using something QE said, I'm responsible for it. It becomes my argument. It's the same thing if you're putting something up on your channel. I'm sorry. You put it up there, you're responsible for it. You're backing it by putting it up there. Sorry.
Well, you are right. In the eyes of the law, there's a saying. It's called, the saying
you
goes...
put it so succinctly and so correctly that I'm going to clip that part and put it on my channel.
Let me just reiterate what you're absolutely correct. The saying from the media is publish and be damned. That is to say that if you publish an incorrect story that's slanderous or libelous, rather, then you're responsible for it. It doesn't matter that you're republishing it, is Neil's point. And he's absolutely correct. If you slander somebody by republishing, then you're equally responsible. It's up to you as the publisher to make sure your information's correct. Now, that doesn't alter what Morghile's saying. He's saying, number one, credit to David Weiss isn't necessarily ascribable here, especially as he's basically a hoover for material. So just, be aware that he's just hoovered up a lot of this stuff. And second to that, right, it doesn't mean any of the material he's hoovered up's right or offers you any out or answers to the questions you've got. It might offer you answers, but they might not be right or useful. Okay, let's move on.
Here,
I like that.
Can I show you? Yeah, can I show you how they hide the Earth? Right.
Yeah.
So,
even he hand waved your stars from Ben. That was your best argument so far. I'd have made sure he understood that personally, but there we go.
If I could just, I'd like to clarify something too, if I may.
Yeah, sure.
And I'll just say real quick, I love Dave Weiss because, he's a flat earther and I believe he's doing what he thinks is right. But my honest critique of the thing is he's not good at debates. That's not his strong point. I mean, he's obviously better at other things involving, capitalism or whatever. And that's not a slight. He's good at, everybody's got their own unique talents. But, after this many years, and he's been fairly active in debating and all this stuff. I mean, I don't see, why he could in good conscience, as much as I know he does love flat Earth, continue to put himself out there in these debates because I'm sorry to say, he's just no good at it.
Well,
because, and this is the last thing, flat Earth is very easy to present because it's the truth. Yeah, the globetards can be tricky and slick or whatever, and so it can be a difficult thing to debate, especially in a live platform. But, dude, just sometimes, at some point, you got to hang it up, man.
I agree. I, too, love David Weiss.
TV series. It's like Lost.
It is. So what we're showing that the Earth, this is what basically what we think the Earth looks like. Water's contained, it's flat, it's level. Airplanes fly straight and level over the Earth plane. But what if, and again, this is speculation. I don't have any proof that there's anything beyond the shoreline of Antarctica. Okay. But what if there's more land out here, Andrew? Extra territory? I would call the people that come from there extraterrestrials. Scientifically possible on a flat Earth.
What? Scientifically possible on a flat Earth? What?
Thanks for the what if, David.
No, I just want the audience to get the juxtaposition between I don't know, this is speculation, but also simultaneously scientifically provable on a flat Earth. Okay, just so we're all clear.
What?
How exciting would that be?
How exciting! Well, they're pulling the whole alien agenda on us, and what they do is they take the flat Earth, and they cut it out around Antarctica, and they wrap it around a sphere, and they say this is where you live, but you're not allowed to explore this white dot at the bottom, or it's at the border all the way around us, right?
Not how they do it. The Haversine conversion originally starts with a flat plane.
And
you're not allowed
I gotta
to
say, for the first time, I am seeing why it is so appealing. It's really appealing to believe this, isn't it? And that's part of religious belief as well. It's very appealing.
No, there's no belief here either. When I would show you how celestial navigation functions to save lives, that's not a belief. That's how it actually works. When I show you how things are built, it's not belief. That's how it works. There is no belief here.
Appealing to believe, don't worry if things aren't going well in this life, there's another life afterwards. Don't worry, you're going to somewhere else, there's something more.
No,
and the idea that there's like this...
He's not a Scientologist.
Other bit outside, that's like the TV shows on a cliffhanger and they just break through the wall and it's very exciting. Can't you see that it is possible that your cognitive biases want you to believe in this?
No, not if I can demonstrate it and measure it. Then it's beyond all doubt.
No, that's just the benefit of understanding where you live, because then you're like, wow, there is more, right? I didn't believe in a creator. Yeah. I thought we were nothing. I thought we turned into worm meat afterwards.
There it is. There's your hook. There's more on offer. Yeah, just follow my path and there's more. It's only speculation, but also simultaneously scientifically proven on a flat Earth. There's more to offer.
And I'm pretty sure that there isn't, but that's not the case. I'm very sure, but again, that's not why I got into this. I got into this because I wanted to find out the reality of this world. Andrew, if you didn't have to pay for gas for your car, heat for your house, or air conditioning, would that make you happy?
Oh, so you're alluding to the idea of free energy there, Dave?
Here we go. Ether. Ether's next.
Probably.
I
Pretty
suppose,
cool,
yeah,
right?
I suppose it would.
Yeah.
I suppose
and
it would.
What if they're hiding free energy? What if they're hiding more land? What if they're hiding technology?
Well, I'm sure they are. I'm sure some, that's why I don't want to poo-poo all conspiracy theories. I'm sure there are dark, conniving people out there who are hiding things from us. But I also am a strong believer in the sort of, I think, look, one of the reasons that we believe a lot in some conspiracy theories and we need to believe in it is because the truth is sometimes much scarier and sadder. Because
that's true.
Scary as it is to believe that there are people out there who are, have malicious intent and are trying to steal things from you.
Yeah, that's true when it comes to the people. But when it comes to the nature of Earth, it's not true. The scary idea is that you're a tiny little insignificant speck of dust flying through an infinitely expanding sky vacuum that violates the second law of thermodynamics. That puts you into a position where you're insignificant also. That's quite scary. The vastness of it is also quite scary. Now, by comparison, Earth must be contained, is flat. Now, those things may not bring you solace, but they're certainly not scary. Like the heliocentric model flying at thousands of miles an hour. That's terrifying.
It's even scarier to believe that actually nothing means anything. We're just a bunch of people and nobody knows what they're doing and nobody in government really knows what they're doing. They're just
that's true.
Running around doing random things. That's
absolutely true. That is the world we live in.
Terrifying.
Yeah, I'm just agreeing with you. Maybe you're making an argument that this isn't the case and it's scary to think it is. No, it is. That is the case. That is the world we live in. Go on.
That's it, though, right? That's why they say, why would they lie? Because they don't want to face that they're just wrong and they're, just ignorant. They don't want to face that possibility. That's why they ask you, why would they lie to me?
Yeah. And he's also alluded to why that would be so scary to him. I don't know. I'm not qualified to answer these questions. And as Dave Weiss correctly identified, yeah, you only want to defer to the authorities in this regard because they make you feel safe and secure. Yeah, that's the situation for most people, including this very honest, in this instance, Andrew Gold. Okay. Therefore, if the people that you're putting your trust in turn out to be wrong, you're on your own, aren't you? Big Daddy's not there, is he, to suckle at the teat of? No, he's not. So what are you going to do? You just have to face your own ignorance suddenly. That's a scary prospect. And that's the reality. Most people have put their trust in the authorities, and if you, the mere mortal that you are, insignificant like a speck of dust floating in space, dare to challenge the authorities and prove them wrong, that's scary for Joe Normie.
And no
Well,
one
I
wants
don't
to
think
believe that.
that's
So
the
I can
case.
see. Yeah, I know, because it makes you feel better to think
No, it
that
doesn't.
actually they're
It
out there trying to get you.
In my world, I used to think
I don't think anyone's trying to get me.
that the government was here to protect us. I realize the government's here just to push the elite agenda and push Agenda 2030. Research
Yeah, the
Agenda
government's
2030.
it's not doing either. It's not doing either. They're not here to protect us, and they're not here to push. They're here. They're individual people who make up a government who are selfish human beings like all of us, and they just want more money.
We agree on something, but there's a bigger agenda above that. Here, let's get back to the science of the globe.
What? The globe? That's a concrete noun. There is no science. There's no cause and effect for a shape, David.
The globe.
No.
Yes, it's about 11,000 miles around Antarctica. Last person to try to go around Antarctica was Captain Cook. It took him 3.5 years. He went over 68,000 miles.
As evidenced by
68,000 miles.
Oh, as evidenced by a repetition of the same baseless assertion. I see.
Right?
Where did he get 11,000 miles to begin with?
No idea. As evidenced by
is only 11,000. The equator is only 24,000. 68.
you'll need a flat Earth for that derivation.
8,000 makes sense on a flat Earth.
Yeah.
Great response. Yeah.
Bummer, huh?
Whatever, Dave. Right, I'm going to round out this show at that point, I think, because it's getting a bit tiresome. So with that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams. Hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!